The Galactic Plaza erupts into chaos as Wadi King Zexlor demands to breed with Jordan Gray, a 22-year-old human female diplomat. Thousands of alien representatives watch in shock, their collective gasps echoing through the massive space station. Jordan, visibly distressed, stands surrounded by her human security detail. Their hands hover near their weapons, eyes darting between the approaching Wadi King and the sea of agitated aliens around them. Zexlor, a towering figure with blue skin adorned with bioluminescent markings, strides forward with purpose, his own guards flanking him. Dr. Marcus Stern, the human ambassador, steps between Jordan and the advancing Wadi contingent. Your Majesty, this demand violates interspecies laws and basic human rights, he declares, voice firm despite the tension in his shoulders. Zexlor's eyes narrow, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with irritation. Your laws mean nothing to us, he growls, revealing sharp teeth. The Wadi possess technology capable of destroying Earth. Comply or face the consequences. The assembled delegates shift uneasily, murmurs of concern rippling through the crowd. Some begin to take sides, voices rising in support of Earth or the Wadi. Galactic Council peacekeepers move swiftly, attempting to contain the situation before it devolves into violence. Suddenly, a Wadi female emerges from behind Zexlor. I am Sarah, advisor to King Zexlor, she announces, her voice cutting through the din. I propose a compromise. Allow me to mate with a human male instead. This preserves our diplomatic relations without forcing the unwilling Jordan into this situation. Her words send fresh waves of shock through the plaza. Alien factions argue louder, some praising the solution, others decrying it as equally unacceptable. Jordan's security team tightens their formation, creating a human wall between her and the Wadi. Amidst the chaos, Jordan's gaze locks with Sarah's. An unexpected connection sparks between them, a moment of understanding in the eye of this diplomatic storm. Jordan sees something in Sarah's eyes, a plea perhaps, or a warning. News of the unprecedented event spreads like wildfire across the galaxy. Billions of beings tune in, watching with bated breath as the drama unfolds. Screens flicker to life in homes, public spaces, and spacecraft throughout known space, all focus on the Galactic Plaza. The future of Earth hangs in the balance. Will it retain its place in the galactic community, or face destruction at the hands of the Wadi? The next few moments will determine the fate of an entire planet, its repercussions echoing across the stars. As tensions reach a fever pitch, Jordan takes a deep breath. She knows that her next action could change the course of human history forever. The eyes of the galaxy are upon her, waiting to see how humanity will respond to this unprecedented crisis. Jordan took a deep breath, her mind racing as she considered the weight of her next move. The eyes of the galaxy bore down upon her, but she refused to let the pressure overwhelm her. With a subtle nod to Dr. Stern, she stepped forward, her voice clear and steady as she addressed the assembled delegates. We cannot accept these terms, Jordan declared, her gaze fixed on King Zexlor. However, we are willing to explore alternative solutions that respect both our peoples. Before Zexlor could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance to the plaza. A group of Wadi soldiers pushed through the crowd, their weapons raised. Your Majesty, one of them called out, the deadline has expired. We await your command. The tension in the room skyrocketed. Dr. Stern quickly moved to Jordan's side, his face pale but determined. Your Majesty, he addressed Zexlor, please, let us continue our negotiations. There's no need for this to escalate further. Zexlor's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with an angry red. You've had your chance, humans. Now, you will witness the consequences of your defiance. As the Wadi King raised his hand, presumably to signal his troops, Sarah suddenly darted forward. Wait, she cried, placing herself between the two factions. There may be another way. Jordan felt an inexplicable pull towards the wadi female. Something in Sarah's eyes spoke of desperation, of a desire to prevent the impending catastrophe. Without fully understanding why, Jordan stepped closer to her. "What do you propose?" Jordan asked, her voice low enough that only Sarah could hear. Sarah's gaze darted between Jordan and the rest of the human delegation. "Not here," she whispered urgently. "We need to speak privately." Before Jordan could respond, a tall, muscular man in a security uniform approached them. "Ms. Gray," he said, his hand resting on his weapon, "I must advise against any private meetings." "Captain Harper," Jordan acknowledged him, recognizing the head of her security detail. "I appreciate your concern, but I believe this may be our best chance at resolving this peacefully." Harper's face hardened, but he nodded reluctantly. "Very well, but I'm coming with you." As the three of them slipped away from the main gathering, Dr. Stern engaged King Zexlor in further debate, buying them precious time. They found an empty conference room off the main concourse, its doors sliding shut behind them with a soft hiss. Sarah's bioluminescent patterns shifted to a softer blue as she turned to face Jordan and Captain Harper. "I am part of a group within Wadi society that opposes King Zexlor's aggressive tactics," she explained quickly. "We believe that peaceful cooperation with other species is the key to our future." Harper's eyes narrowed. "And why should we trust you?" Sarah met his gaze unflinchingly. "Because I'm risking everything by telling you this. If Zexlor discovers my betrayal, I'll be executed." Jordan studied Sarah intently, noting the sincerity in her alien features. "What do you suggest we do?" Before Sarah could answer, the door burst open. A squad of Wadi soldiers stormed in, their weapons trained on the trio. "Traitor!" One of them snarled at Sarah. "King Zexlor demands your immediate return." In a flash, Captain Harper positioned himself in front of Jordan and Sarah, his own weapon drawn. "Stand down," he ordered the Wadi soldiers, his voice steely. For a moment, the room was frozen in a deadly standoff. Then, without warning, Sarah's bioluminescent markings flared with blinding intensity. The Wadi soldiers recoiled, momentarily stunned by the unexpected flash. "Run!" Sarah shouted, grabbing Jordan's hand and pulling her towards a hidden panel in the wall. Harper followed close behind, laying down covering fire as they escaped into a maintenance corridor. The narrow passageway echoed with the sounds of pursuit as they ran. Jordan's heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She glanced at Sarah, marveling at the Wadi female's unexpected abilities. "Where are we going?" Harper called out as they rounded another corner. Sarah's markings pulsed softly, providing just enough light to navigate the dim corridor. "There's a shuttle bay not far from here. If we can reach it, we might be able to escape the station." As they ran, Jordan's mind raced with the implications of their actions. They were no longer just trying to prevent a diplomatic incident. They were now fugitives, potentially sparking an interstellar war. The distant sound of shouting grew louder, accompanied by the heavy footfalls of their pursuers. Harper glanced back, his expression grim. "We're running out of time," he growled. Suddenly, Sarah stopped short, her hand pressed against the wall. With a soft click, a hidden door slid open, revealing a small, dimly lit chamber. "In here," she whispered urgently. They crowded into the tight space, the door sliding shut just as the sounds of pursuit reached their position. Jordan found herself pressed between Sarah and Harper, acutely aware of the Wadi female's alien warmth and the captain's steady breathing. As they waited in tense silence, Jordan couldn't help but notice the way Harper's gaze lingered on Sarah, a mix of suspicion and fascination in his eyes. Sarah, in turn, seemed equally intrigued by the human security officer. The moment stretched on, filled with unspoken tensions and the thundering of their heartbeats. Outside, the sounds of their pursuers faded, But the danger was far from finished. Jordan knew that their next move would be crucial, not just for their own survival, but for the fate of Earth and its place in the galactic community. As Sarah's bioluminescent patterns shifted to a soft, calming glow, Jordan prepared herself for whatever challenges lay ahead. The diplomatic crisis had evolved into something far more complex, and she found herself at the center of a storm that threatened to reshape the very fabric of human-alien relations. The tense silence in the hidden chamber stretched on, broken only by the soft pulsing of Sarah's bioluminescent patterns. Jordan's mind raced, weighing their limited options. Just as she was about to suggest their next move, a faint tapping sound came from the other side of the wall. Sarah tensed, her markings flickering with alarm. Captain Harper raised his weapon, ready to defend them. But before anyone could react, a hidden panel slid open, revealing a tall, silver-skinned figure with iridescent eyes. "Quickly," the newcomer whispered, gesturing for them to follow. "We don't have much time." Jordan hesitated, but something in the alien's earnest gaze compelled her trust. She nodded to Sarah and Harper, and they cautiously emerged from their hiding place. "I'm Dr. Zara Zen, xenobiologist from Lumina," the silver-skinned alien explained as she led them through a maze of narrow passageways. "I've been monitoring the situation, and I believe I can help drive this crisis." They hurried through the corridors, the sounds of pursuit growing fainter behind them. Jordan's curiosity got the better of her. "How exactly can you help?" she asked, slightly out of breath. Dr. Zen's iridescent eyes gleamed with excitement. "My team has been working on a revolutionary project, a device that could change the way species interact on a genetic level. It might just be the solution to your Wadi problem." They emerged into a vast laboratory, filled with advanced equipment and bustling with activity. Aliens of various species worked side by side, their focus intense. "Welcome to our secret lab," Dr. Zen announced, leading them to a central console. "We've developed technology that allows for safe genetic exchange between different alien races." Sarah's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with interest. "You mean without the need for physical mating?" Dr. Zen nodded. "Exactly. It could satisfy the Wadi's desire for genetic diversity without compromising anyone's rights or safety." Captain Harper frowned, his hand still resting on his weapon. "How do we know this is safe? Or that it even works?" "An excellent question," Dr. Zen replied. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order." She turned to Sarah and Harper. "Would you two be willing to volunteer?" Sarah and Harper exchanged a look, a mix of uncertainty and curiosity passing between them. After a moment, Sarah stepped forward. "I'll do it," she said, her voice firm. Harper hesitated, then nodded. "If it could help prevent a war, I'm in." Dr. Zen guided them to a sleek, pod-like device. "The process is non-invasive," she assured them. "It simply scans your genetic makeup and creates a hybrid sample." As Sarah and Harper positioned themselves in the device, Jordan watched with a mix of fascination and trepidation. The machine hummed to life, bathing the volunteers in a soft, blue light. Suddenly, Sarah gasped, her bioluminescent patterns flaring brightly. Harper's eyes widened, his body tensing. For a moment, Jordan feared something had gone wrong. "What's happening to them?" she demanded, turning to Dr. Zen. The xenobiologist smiled reassuringly. "It's a normal part of the process. The device creates a temporary neural link, allowing the participants to experience a deep connection." As the light faded, Sarah and Harper emerged from the pods, looking dazed but unharmed. They stared at each other, an unspoken understanding passing between them. It was incredible, Sarah breathed, her markings pulsing with a soft, warm glow. Harper nodded, seemingly at a loss for words. He looked at his hands, then back at Sarah, as if seeing her for the first time. Dr. Zen approached a nearby console, her fingers dancing over the controls. A holographic display sprang to life, showing a complex genetic sequence. "Success!" she exclaimed. "We've created a viable hybrid genetic sample. This proves that interspecies reproduction is possible without traditional means." Jordan's mind raced with the implications. This could be the solution they needed to defuse the crisis with the Wadi. She turned to Dr. Zen, her voice urgent. "We need to contact Dr. Stern immediately. This could change everything." As Jordan used a secure comm channel to relay the information to Dr. Stern, she noticed Sarah and Harper standing close together, talking in low voices. The experience seemed to have forged a connection between them, and Jordan felt an unexpected twinge of something, jealousy, longing. She pushed the feeling aside, focusing on the task at hand. Dr. Stern's holographic image flickered to life. "Jordan, this is extraordinary news," he said, his expression a mix of relief and excitement. "I'll propose a meeting with the Wadi delegation immediately. We need to present this alternative solution before things escalate further." As preparations for the crucial meeting began, tension filled the lab. Jordan coordinated with Dr. Zen and her team, refining their presentation and anticipating potential objections from the Wadi. Unbeknownst to them, a shadowy figure lurked in the periphery of the lab. Vex, the Morphean spy, observed the proceedings with keen interest. As soon as the genetic exchange was confirmed successful, he slipped away, his form shifting and blending with the surroundings. In a secure chamber elsewhere in the Galactic Plaza, King Zexlor received Vex's report. The Wadi King's bioluminescent patterns flared with rage and fear. "This technology threatens everything," he snarled to his assembled advisors. "We must act now, before it's too late." With a series of curt orders, Zexlor set his plan in motion. A team of elite Wadi commandos began their covert infiltration of the Plaza, their target, Dr. Zen's lab and the humans who now posed a threat to their king's ambitions. As the commandos silently made their way through the station's security systems, the occupants of the lab remained unaware of the approaching danger. Jordan, Sarah, Captain Harper, and Dr. Zen focused on their preparations, the fate of Earth and countless other civilizations hanging in the balance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the future of interspecies relations across the galaxy. As the Wadi commandos drew ever closer, the clock ticked down on a conflict that threatened to erupt into all-out war. Interstellar va. As the occupants of the lab braced themselves for the impending confrontation, a subtle vibration rippled through the floor, signaling the approach of the Wadi commandos. Captain Harper's military instincts kicked in. He quickly scanned the room, assessing potential defensive positions. "Dr. Zen, is there a way to secure this lab?" he asked urgently. The silver-skinned xenobiologist nodded, her iridescent eyes narrowing with grit. "There's an emergency lockdown protocol. It should buy us some time." As Dr. Zen's fingers flew over the control panel, Jordan's comm device chimed. Dr. Stern's holographic image appeared, his expression grave. "Jordan, we've detected unauthorized movement in the lower levels of the plaza. Security forces are mobilizing, but..." His words were cut short as the lab's blast doors slammed shut with a resounding thud. Red warning lights bathed the room in an eerie glow, casting long shadows across the worried faces of the assembled team. Sarah's bioluminescent patterns pulsed rapidly, betraying her anxiety. "They're coming for us, aren't they?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Before anyone could respond, a series of muffled explosions echoed through the walls. The Wadi commandos had breached the outer defenses. Captain Harper sprang into action. "Dr. Zen, arm your team with whatever non-lethal defenses you have. We need to protect the genetic exchange device at all costs." As the xenobiologist distributed defensive weapons to her staff, Harper turned to Jordan and Sarah. "Stay close to me. If things go south, we may need to make a run for it." Jordan nodded, her heart racing. She couldn't help but notice the way Harper's hand lingered on Sarah's arm, their eyes meeting in a moment of unspoken understanding. A pang of something, jealousy, longing, shot through her, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the crisis at hand. The lab erupted into a flurry of activity as Dr. Zen's team scrambled to secure vital data and equipment. Jordan found herself assisting a lab assistant in backing up the genetic exchange research to a portable drive. As she worked, she noticed a flicker of movement from the corner of her eye. One of the assistants was behaving oddly, their movements too fluid, too precise. With a start, Jordan realized she was looking at Vex, the shape-shifting spy. The Morphean had infiltrated the lab, likely gathering intelligence for King Zexlor. Without thinking, Jordan launched herself at the disguised spy. "Stop!" she shouted, tackling Vex to the ground. The portable drive clattered across the floor as they grappled, knocking over delicate equipment in their struggle. Captain Harper whirled around at the commotion, his eyes widening as he saw Jordan wrestling with the shapeshifter. "Jordan!" he called out, rushing to her aid. But before he could reach them, a stray elbow struck the control panel of the genetic exchange device. A surge of energy pulsed through the lab, washing over everyone present in a wave of shimmering light. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Jordan felt a strange, tingling sensation coursing through her body. Her senses suddenly sharpened to an almost painful degree. She could hear the rapid heartbeats of those around her, smell the faint ozone scent of the energy pulse, and see with startling clarity the minute details of Vex's shifting form beneath her. As the energy dissipated, chaos erupted. Sarah's bioluminescent markings flared with blinding intensity, momentarily disorienting the Wadi commandos who had just breached the inner doors. Captain Harper moved with inhuman speed and precision, engaging multiple attackers at once. Jordan found herself overwhelmed by a flood of information. Every subtle shift in body language, every microexpression on both human and alien faces, suddenly became clear as day. She could read the fear and tenacity in Dr. Zen's iridescent eyes, the conflict within Sarah as she faced her own people, and the calculated ruthlessness of the Wadi commandos. "The device!" Dr. Zen shouted over the din of battle. "We need to protect it." Jordan scrambled to her feet, her heightened intuition allowing her to anticipate the movements of the combatants around her. She weaved through the chaos, making her way towards the genetic exchange device. Vex, recovered from the initial scuffle, slithered towards the machine with terrifying speed. But Jordan was faster, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to intercept the shapeshifter mere inches from the control panel. "Not this time," Jordan growled, grappling with the Morphean spy. As they struggled, Jordan became acutely aware of the battle raging around them. Captain Harper fought with unnatural grace, his every move precise and devastating. Sarah's bioluminescence pulsed in rhythmic patterns, somehow coordinating with the human security officer's movements to create a formidable defense. Dr. Zen and her team, their own abilities enhanced by the energy pulse, worked feverishly to stabilize the genetic exchange device and protect their research. The air crackled with energy, both from the ongoing firefight and the lingering effects of the pulse. Suddenly, a booming voice cut through the chaos. "Enough!" King Zexlor's holographic image materialized in the center of the lab, his bioluminescent patterns flaring with rage. "Cease this foolishness at once, or I will order my fleet to attack Earth." The fighting ground to a halt, all eyes turning to the Wadi monarch's imposing figure. Jordan, still locked in combat with Vex, felt a chill run down her spine. The fate of Earth, and possibly the entire galaxy, now hung in the balance. As the tense standoff stretched on, Jordan's enhanced diplomatic intuition kicked into overdrive. She could sense the fear and uncertainty radiating from both sides, the potential for violence still simmering just beneath the surface. With Earth's future at stake, She knew that her next words could either defuse the situation or plunge them all into interstellar war. Taking a deep breath, Jordan prepared to address King Zexlor, hoping that the unprecedented effects of the genetic exchange pulse might yet provide a path to peace. Jordan took a deep breath, her heightened senses taking in every nuance of the tense standoff. As she prepared to address King Zexlor, a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her. The world around her seemed to shift, colors intensifying and sounds becoming sharper. She staggered, nearly losing her grip on Vex. In that moment, a torrent of thoughts and emotions flooded her mind. Fear, anger, and desperation emanated from the Wadi commandos. Drive and concern radiated from Captain Harper and Dr. Zen. And from Sarah, a complex mix of loyalty, confusion, and something else, something warm and directed at Jordan herself. Shaking her head to clear it, Jordan realized with a start that she was sensing the surface thoughts and emotions of those around her. The genetic exchange pulse had awakened a latent telepathic ability within her. Before she could process this new development, a blinding flash filled the lab. Sarah's bioluminescent patterns had intensified to an unprecedented degree, bathing the room in a dazzling array of colors. The Wadi commandos recoiled, shielding their eyes. Taking advantage of the distraction, Captain Harper sprang into action. He moved with inhuman speed and grace, closing the distance between himself and the nearest attacker in the blink of an eye. His fist connected with the commando's solar plexus, sending them flying across the room with far more force than should have been possible. "Jordan," Harper called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to secure the device." Nodding, Jordan redoubled her efforts to subdue Vex. The Morphean spy writhed beneath her, its form shifting and rippling as it tried to break free. Using her newfound telepathic insight, Jordan anticipated Vex's moves, countering each attempt to escape. As the battle raged around them, Dr. Zen and her team worked feverishly to stabilize the genetic exchange device. Energy crackled around the machine, arcs of blue-white light dancing across its surface. "We need more time," Dr. Zen shouted, her iridescent eyes wide with urgency. Sarah, seeming to master her new abilities, created a shimmering barrier of light between the device and the advancing Wadi forces. The commandos fired their weapons, but the energy blast dissipated harmlessly against the luminous shield. Jordan, still grappling with Vex, reached out with her mind, trying to make sense of the chaotic thoughts swirling around her. She sensed the Wadi commandos' growing frustration and fear, their certainty of victory crumbling in the face of the defenders' enhanced abilities. Suddenly, a surge of alarm from Captain Harper caught her attention. She turned to see him engage with 3 opponents simultaneously, his augmented reflexes allowing him to dodge and counter their attacks with ease. But behind him, another commando was taking aim at the exposed control panel of the genetic exchange device. "Harper, behind you," Jordan called out, her voice imbued with urgency. The captain spun, faster than seemed possible, and launched himself towards the would-be saboteur. He collided with the Wadi soldier just as they fired, the energy blast going wide and striking a nearby console. The impact sent them both tumbling to the ground, rolling dangerously close to the unstable device. In that moment of chaos, Vex saw an opportunity. The Morphean spy slipped from Jordan's grasp, its form elongating and twisting as it lunged for the genetic exchange machine. Jordan reached out, both physically and mentally, trying to stop the shapeshifter. Her fingers brushed against Vex's shifting skin just as another pulse of energy erupted from the device. The lab was bathed in a blinding light, and Jordan felt a searing heat course through her body. When her vision cleared, she saw Vex writhing on the ground, its form rapidly cycling through a bizarre array of alien appearances. The lab security systems, overtaxed by the ongoing battle, began to fail. Emergency force fields sprang to life, cutting through the room and separating the combatants. Jordan found herself isolated with Sarah, their section sealed off from the rest of the lab. "Jordan, are you all right?" Sarah asked, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with concern. Before Jordan could respond, the holographic image of King Zexlor flickered back to life. His features were contorted with rage, his bioluminescence flaring erratically. "You leave me no choice," the Wadi monarch snarled. "I have ordered my battle fleet to advance on Earth. Surrender now, or watch your world burn." Jordan's heart raced as she processed the king's threat. She could sense the fear and desperation rolling off Sarah in waves, mixed with a fierce commitment. Outside their force field bubble, she saw Captain Harper and Dr. Zen trapped near the genetic exchange device, with the incapacitated form of Vex nearby. The lab had become a microcosm of the larger conflict threatening to engulf the galaxy. As alarms blared throughout the Galactic Plaza and reports of approaching Wadi ships reached Earth, Jordan knew that the next few moments would be crucial. With her newfound abilities and the unlikely allies at her side, she had to find a way to stop the Wadi attack, protect the genetic exchange technology, and prevent an interstellar war. Taking a deep breath, Jordan locked eyes with Sarah. "We need to get to that device," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "It might be our only chance to end this before it's too late." Sarah nodded, her bioluminescence intensifying as she prepared to use her light manipulation powers. "Together, then," she said, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. As they readied themselves to break through the force field, Jordan couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Despite the overwhelming odds, she sensed a growing bond between herself, Sarah, and the others. Whatever came next, they would face it as one. As they readied themselves to break through the force field, a blinding flash engulfed the lab. Captain Harper, his face set with stubborn persistence, had activated the genetic exchange device at full power. The force field barriers flickered and died, bathing everyone in a massive wave of energy. Jordan stumbled, her senses overwhelmed by the surge. As the light faded, she found herself reunited with Sarah and Captain Harper. The Wadi commandos lay scattered across the floor, some writhing in pain, others staring at their hands in wonder. "What did you do?" Jordan gasped, her head spinning as new sensations flooded her mind. Captain Harper steadied himself against a console. "It was our only chance. I had to level the playing field." Jordan's heightened empathy expanded, allowing her to not only sense but influence the emotions of those around her. She focused on the nearest Wadi commando, projecting a wave of calm. The alien's bioluminescent pattern shifted, its aggressive stance relaxing. Sarah's eyes widened as she raised her hands, light coalescing into a shimmering barrier between them and the remaining attackers. I can make it solid," she whispered, awe evident in her voice. Captain Harper moved with fluid grace, his movements precise and calculated. He assessed the room with inhuman speed, identifying threats and advantages in the blink of an eye. "We need to secure the device and contact Earth's defense systems. The Wadi fleet is still incoming." Dr. Zen stumbled towards them, her iridescent eyes darting rapidly as she took in the scene. "The genetic alterations. They're far more extensive than we anticipated. I can see the changes at a cellular level. It's extraordinary." A groan from nearby drew their attention. Vex, the Morphean spy, lay curled on the floor. As they watched, the shapeshifter's form stabilized into a bizarre hybrid of human, Wadi, and other alien features. Jordan approached cautiously, reaching out with her newfound empathic abilities. She recoiled at the maelstrom of confusion and conflicted loyalty emanating from the spy. Vex is changing, not just physically. Alarms blared throughout the Galactic Plaza as the effects of the energy pulse spread. Through the lab's windows, they could see aliens in nearby sections stumbling, some manifesting minor physical changes, while others displayed new abilities. "We need to contain this," Captain Harper said, his enhanced tactical mind already formulating strategies. "If the effects keep spreading—" He was cut off as a holographic image of King Zexlor reappeared, flickering wildly. The Wadi monarch's features were contorted with rage and fear. "What have you done?" he roared, his bioluminescence flaring erratically. "You will pay for this abomination." The hologram vanished, replaced by emergency broadcasts showing the approaching Wadi battle fleet. Earth's defense systems were mobilizing, but it was clear they were outmatched. "We need to stop him," Sarah said, her solid light construct pulsing with her agitation. "If he attacks Earth, it'll be all-out war." Dr. Zen's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. The device. If we can refine it, amplify its effects, we might be able to create a galactic-wide empathic link. It could end the conflict before it begins. Jordan's mind reeled at the implications. But the consequences? We'd be changing every species affected. Is that our right? Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through the chaos. Perhaps it is not about right, but necessity. They turned to see a tall, elegant Wadi female striding into the lab, flanked by a contingent of guards. Her intricate bioluminescent patterns pulsed with authority and grace. "Admiral Zara," Sarah breathed, recognition dawning on her face. "The king's sister." Zara surveyed the scene, her expression unreadable. "It seems I've arrived at a pivotal moment. My brother's actions threaten not just Earth, but the stability of the entire galaxy. If your device can indeed end this conflict, we must consider its use." Captain Harper stepped forward, his posture wary but respectful. "With all due respect, Admiral, how can we trust you? Your brother's forces just tried to destroy our research." Zara's patterns shifted, conveying a complex mix of emotions. "My brother's fear of change has blinded him to reason. I lead those who seek progress, cooperation between species. This conflict serves no one." Jordan reached out with her empathic abilities, sensing the truth in Zara's words. She nodded to Captain Harper, who relaxed slightly. "We don't have much time," Dr. Zen interjected, her fingers flying over a console as she worked to refine the genetic exchange device. "The Wadi fleet will be in firing range of Earth within the hour." Zara's bioluminescence pulsed with drive. "My own fleet stands ready to intercept them, but I would prefer to avoid bloodshed if possible. Your device may be our best hope for peace." As they gathered around Dr. Zen's console, the gravity of their situation became clear. They had the potential to end the conflict and usher in a new era of interspecies understanding, but at the cost of fundamentally altering the genetic makeup of countless beings across the galaxy. Jordan looked at Sarah, sensing the mix of fear and hope radiating from her. Captain Harper's enhanced mind was already calculating probabilities and outcomes. Dr. Zen worked feverishly, her new abilities allowing her to make breakthroughs that would have taken years under normal circumstances. Vex, still grappling with their new hybrid form, watched from the sidelines, their loyalties and identity in flux. As alarms continued to blare, and reports of spreading genetic alterations flooded in from across the Galactic Plaza, Jordan realized that the next few moments would shape the future of not just humanity, but every sentient species in the galaxy. The genetic exchange device hummed with potential, its power building as Dr. Zen made her final adjustments. Time was running out. Earth's defenses were mobilizing. The Wadi fleet was closing in, and the chaos in the Galactic Plaza was reaching a fever pitch. All eyes turned to Jordan, waiting for her decision. With her enhanced empathy, she could feel the weight of countless lives hanging in the balance. Whatever choice she made, the universe would never be the same. Jordan took a deep breath, steeling herself for the decision that would shape the future of countless species. Suddenly, the air in the lab shimmered. particles of light coalescing into a radiant form. The team stumbled back as a tall, ethereal figure materialized before them. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent glow, and her flowing hair resembled a cascade of starlight. "I am Lyra," the being announced, her voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "Emissary of the Celestials, we have observed your plight and offer our assistance." Captain Harper's enhanced reflexes kicked in as he positioned himself protectively in front of the others. "Celestials? I've never heard of your species." Lyra's lips curved into a gentle smile. "We prefer to remain hidden, Captain, but the events unfolding here are too significant to ignore." Dr. Zen's eyes widened with wonder. "You've come to help us with the genetic exchange device?" "Indeed," Lyra confirmed, gliding towards a humming machine. "Your technology has immense potential, but it requires stabilization and refinement." As Lyra began to examine the device, Jordan's empathic senses tingled. She felt a wave of relief wash over the room, tempered by an undercurrent of cautious hope. Admiral Zara stepped forward, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with curiosity. "Your arrival is fortuitous, Celestial. My brother's fleet approaches Earth as we speak." As if on cue, the lab's communication array crackled to life. A frantic voice filled the room. "Admiral Zara, this is Commander Thal. A significant portion of King Zexlor's fleet has broken formation. They're requesting to join your command." Zara's patterns flared with surprise and purpose. "Patch me through to the defectors," she ordered. As Zara coordinated with her new allies, Jordan felt a surge of inspiration. She turned to Sarah, whose light manipulation abilities had grown exponentially since the genetic pulse. "Sarah, I need your help," Jordan said, her voice urgent. "Can you create a network of light conduits throughout the Galactic Plaza?" Sarah's bioluminescence brightened with understanding. "A delivery system for the genetic exchange energy. Brilliant." As Sarah began weaving intricate patterns of light through the air, Jordan closed her eyes and reached out with her empathic abilities. She focused on projecting a sense of calm and unity, pushing her consciousness beyond the confines of the lab. Throughout the Galactic Plaza, panicked aliens of various species suddenly felt a wave of serenity wash over them. Tensions eased, and the chaos began to subside. Captain Harper, his mind working at superhuman speed, approached Dr. Zen and Lyra. "We need to create an empathic link between key representatives of each species," he proposed. "It could be our best chance at preventing all-out war." Lyra nodded, her starlight hair shimmering with approval. "A bold plan, Captain. The Celestials will lend our knowledge to ensure its success." As the team worked feverishly to refine the genetic exchange device, a familiar voice caught Jordan's attention. She turned to see Vex, still in their hybrid form, approaching cautiously. I want to help," Vex said, their voice a blend of conflicting tones. "My perspective has shifted. I can provide information about King Zexlor's battle plans." Jordan reached out empathically, sensing the turmoil within the former spy. She nodded, accepting Vex's offer. As news of their plans spread, volunteers from various species began to arrive at the lab. The Galactic Council, seeing a chance for peace, gave tentative approval but insisted on sending observers. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the plaza. Admiral Zara's face paled as she received an urgent transmission. "My brother has ordered a surgical strike on this location. He fears the empathic link will expose his true motives." Captain Harper's enhanced mind quickly formulated a defense strategy. "Sarah, can you extend your light network to create a protective barrier around the plaza?" Sarah nodded, her forehead beating with sweat as she concentrated. Outside, a shimmering dome of light began to form over the Galactic Plaza. As the team raced against time, Dr. Zen's voice cut through the tension. "The device, it's becoming unstable. Using it on such a large scale could have unforeseen consequences. Jordan felt the weight of countless lives pressing down on her. She looked at Sarah, whose determined face was illuminated by the pulsing light of her creations. She turned to Captain Harper, his enhanced physique tense with readiness. Their eyes met, and Jordan felt a surge of connection that went beyond mere teamwork. With King Zexlor's forces approaching and the device on the verge of overload, Jordan knew she had to make a decision. The fate of Earth, the Wadi civilization, and perhaps the entire galaxy hung in the balance. As she opened her mouth to speak, the genetic exchange device pulsed ominously, casting an eerie glow over the assembled aliens and humans alike. Jordan's eyes locked with Captain Harper's, a silent understanding passing between them. She nodded, her decision made. "We proceed," she announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "The risks are high, but the potential for peace is worth it." Dr. Zen and Lyra redoubled their efforts, their hands flying over the controls of the genetic exchange device. The machine hummed louder, its core pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Sarah stepped forward, her body illuminated by her own bioluminescence. "I'm ready," she said, raising her hands. Streams of light flowed from her fingertips, weaving an intricate network throughout the Galactic Plaza. The light conduit snaked through corridors, wrapped around pillars, and spread across ceilings, creating a vast, glowing web. "Representatives, please step forward," Captain Harper called out, his enhanced mind cataloging each volunteer. Admiral Zara moved gracefully into position, her bioluminescent patterns shifting with anticipation. A reluctant King Zexlor was guided to the center by his sister's guards, his eyes darting nervously. "Now, Dr. Zen," Jordan commanded. Dr. Zen activated the device. A surge of energy pulsed through Sarah's light conduits, enveloping the participants in a shimmering field of bioluminescence. The energy wave expanded rapidly, far beyond their intended targets. Jordan gasped as the empathic link took hold. A flood of alien emotions and memories crashed over her. She saw glimpses of Wadi coral cities, felt the exhilaration of a Morphean's first shape-shifting, tasted the acrid fear of a cornered Xyloxian. King Zexlor stumbled, his face contorted in shock. "No," he whispered, overwhelmed by the torrent of thoughts and feelings from those he had sought to conquer. Throughout the plaza, aliens of various species swayed and staggered as the empathic link connected them. Some clutched their heads. Others reached out to steady their neighbors. Agricta's scales rippled, changing color in response to the emotional onslaught. A Vorex scientist's third eye blinked open, seeing spectrums of light it had never perceived before. Captain Harper sprang into action, his enhanced tactical mind processing the rapidly evolving situation. "Security teams to sectors 3, 7, and 12, he barked into his communicator. "Establish containment zones and medical triage areas." Lyra's ethereal form shimmered as she turned to Dr. Zen. "The genetic alterations are spreading too quickly. We must develop a stabilizing agent." Dr. Zen nodded, her iridescent eyes scanning holographic data streams. "I'm seeing patterns in the mutations. If we can isolate the common factors dash." Their conversation was cut short by a deafening alarm. The genetic exchange device sparked and sputtered, its core glowing an ominous red. "It's overloading," Dr. Zen shouted over the din. "The energy output is too high." Jordan felt a surge of panic ripple through the empathic link. She closed her eyes, concentrating on projecting calm and unity. The effect was immediate but tenuous, like trying to hold back a tidal wave with her bare hands. Sarah's light conduits flickered and pulsed erratically. "I can't maintain the network much longer," she grunted, sweat beading on her forehead. Vex approached, their hybrid form a testament to the device's power. "I have a solution," they said, voice resonating with multiple tones. "My unique physiology. I can absorb the excess energy." Jordan's empathic senses reeled from the intensity of Vex's commitment and fear. "It's too dangerous," she protested. "We don't have a choice," Captain Harper interjected, his enhanced mind calculating probabilities at lightning speed. "If that device explodes, the mutations could spread across the entire galaxy." The genetic exchange device groaned, its casing beginning to crack. Tendrils of energy lashed out, scorching the floor and walls. Vex stepped forward, their mismatched limbs trembling slightly. "I'm ready." Dr. Zen and Lyra exchanged a glance, then nodded. They began rerouting the device's energy flow, creating a channel directly to Vex. Jordan reached out, gripping Sarah's hand for support as they watched Vex approach the pulsing core of the machine. The hybrid skin began to glow, patterns of bioluminescence from a dozen different species swirling across their body. As Vex made contact with the device, a blinding flash filled the lab. The empathic link surged, momentarily overwhelming Jordan's senses. She felt a kaleidoscope of emotions, fear, hope, pain, wonder, cascading through her mind. When the light faded, Vex stood motionless, their forms shimmering with barely held-back energy. The genetic exchange device powered down, its alarms falling silent. For a moment, the entire Galactic Plaza seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a dam breaking, a wave of sensation swept through the empathic link. Understanding blossomed between species that had been at war for generations. Ancient grudges dissolved in the face of shared experiences. King Zexlor fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I had no idea," he mumbled, overwhelmed by the weight of his actions. Admiral Zara knelt beside her brother, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with compassion. "It's not too late to change," she said softly. Outside the lab, reports began flooding in. The Wadi attack force had stood down, many soldiers throwing down their weapons as the empathic link reached them. Across the plaza, scenes of cooperation and reconciliation played out between former enemies. But the crisis was just getting started. Aliens throughout the plaza were still grappling with unexpected mutations and new abilities. The long-term effects of the genetic exchange remained unknown. Jordan turned to her team, her eyes reflecting the enormity of the task ahead. "We prevented a war," she said, "but our work is just beginning." Captain Harper nodded, his enhanced mind already formulating strategies. "We need to establish a quarantine zone, begin cataloging the mutations, and dash." He was interrupted by a groan from Vex. The hybrid's form was fluctuating rapidly, energy crackling across their skin. "Vex!" Jordan cried out, reaching for them. As Jordan's hand touched Vex's arm, another surge of energy pulsed through the lab. The empathic link flared to life once more, stronger than ever. In that moment, Jordan realized that the path to galactic peace would be far more complex and far more transformative than anyone could have imagined. The energy coursing through her connection with Vex opened her mind to possibilities she had never before considered. "We have to stabilize Vex," Jordan said, her voice urgent but steady. "They're our only hope of containing this energy safely." Captain Harper nodded, his enhanced mind already formulating a plan. "Sarah, can you create a light containment field around Vex and the device?" Sarah's bioluminescence flared as she focused her abilities. Streams of light flowed from her hands, weaving an intricate cocoon around Vex and the genetic exchange device. The hybrid's form flickered and shifted within the shimmering barrier, their body a kaleidoscope of alien physiologies. "Hold on, Vex," Jordan said, reaching out with her empathic abilities to provide emotional support. She felt Vex's pain and grit, a maelstrom of sensations threatening to overwhelm them both. Dr. Zen and Lyra worked feverishly at the device's controls, their hands flying over holographic interfaces. "We're rerouting the energy flow," Dr. Zen announced, her iridescent eyes reflecting the pulsing light of the machine. channeling it directly into Vex's cellular structure. The lab hummed with tension as Vex continued to absorb the volatile energy. Jordan watched in awe as the hybrid's unstable form began to stabilize, coalescing into something entirely new. Vex's body shimmered and reformed, blending traits from humans, Wadi, and countless other species into a harmonious whole. Incredible, Lyra breathed, her ethereal form rippling with excitement. They're becoming a new species altogether. As Vex's transformation neared completion, a wave of energy pulsed outward through the empathic link. Jordan gasped as the sensation washed over her, carrying with it the experience of Vex's metamorphosis. Throughout the Galactic Plaza, aliens of various species staggered under the impact of the shared event. King Zexlor, still reeling from the earlier revelations, fell to his knees. His eyes widened as he witnessed Vex's sacrifice through the empathic link. I've been so wrong, he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. Admiral Zara knelt beside her brother, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with concern. It's not too late to make things right, she said softly. King Zexlor looked up at his sister, his expression resolute. No, it isn't. I hereby relinquish my claim to the throne. The Wadi people deserve a leader who understands the value of unity and cooperation. That leader is you, Zara. As news of King Zexlor's abdication spread, the impending attack on Earth ground to a halt. Throughout the plaza, the empathic link continued to resonate with Vex's transformation. Aliens of various species began to approach one another, their previous hostilities forgotten in the face of this shared experience. Dr. Zenlook, Sarah called out, her voice filled with wonder. She pointed to a group of aliens near the lab entrance. A Grikta and a Vorex stood hand in tentacle, their bodies glowing with the same energy that had transformed Vex. Before their eyes, the two beings began to change, adopting traits from each other's species. Dr. Zen's eyes widened in realization. They're initiating voluntary genetic exchanges, she said. The empathic link must have shown them the potential benefits. Captain Harper, his enhanced mind processing the rapidly evolving situation, sprang into action. We need to establish safe zones for those who don't want to participate, he said, tapping commands into his communicator, and set up medical monitoring stations for those undergoing transformations. As chaos and wonder swept through the Galactic Plaza, Jordan found herself approached by a diverse group of alien representatives. Their eyes shone with a newfound understanding and hope. We've witnessed something extraordinary here today. A tall, insectoid being said, its mandibles clicking softly. Perhaps it's time we considered a new approach to galactic governance, one based on shared experiences and genetic diversity. Jordan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Earth's involvement in these events has certainly thrust us onto the galactic stage, she said. We'll need to tread carefully, but I believe there's an opportunity here to forge a lasting peace. As the immediate crisis began to subside, Sarah approached Jordan and Captain Harper, her body now shimmering with traits borrowed from several alien species. I think I can use my enhanced abilities to create a galaxy-wide communication network, she said excitedly. Imagine being able to maintain this level of connection across vast distances. Before Jordan could respond, Lyra glided over to them, her ethereal form pulsing with an otherworldly light. Your actions here have impressed the Celestials greatly, she said. We would like to extend an invitation for you to visit our homeworld. There is much we can teach you about advanced genetic engineering and the long-term implications of what has occurred here today. Jordan exchanged glances with Sarah and Captain Harper, seeing her own mix of exhaustion and exhilaration reflected in their eyes. The events of the past hours had changed everything, opening up a future filled with both incredible possibilities and daunting challenges. As the trio considered Lyra's offer, the transformed Vex approached them. Their new form radiated an aura of balance and harmony, a living embodiment of the unity they had all fought so hard to achieve. Thank you, Vex said, their voice a melodious blend of tones. For giving me the chance to make a difference. To become something. More. Jordan reached out and clasped Vex's hand, feeling the connection between them stronger than ever. We all have the chance to become something more now, she said softly. The question is, what will we do with that opportunity? As if in answer to her question, a commotion near the lab's entrance caught their attention. A group of newly arrived aliens pushed their way through the crowd, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. Please, one of them called out, its tentacles waving urgently. We've traveled from the far reaches of the galaxy. We've heard what happened here, and we need to be part of it. Jordan realized that the story of the Galactic Plaza crisis had already begun to spread across the stars. Earth, once a relatively unknown planet, had suddenly become the focal point of a galactic revolution. She turned to her companions, her mind racing with the implications. It looks like our work is just beginning, she said, a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth despite her exhaustion. Captain Harper nodded, his enhanced mind already formulating strategies for the challenges ahead. We'll need to coordinate with Earth's governments, establish protocols for alien visitors, set up research facilities, and find a way to balance the needs and desires of countless species, Sarah added, her new bioluminescent patterns pulsing with excitement. As they began to discuss their next steps, Jordan couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the magnitude of what they had set in motion. The genetic exchange device, created to save her people, had become the catalyst for a transformation that would shape the future of the entire galaxy. With Vex at their side, a living symbol of the potential for unity among diverse species, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper prepared to face the dawn of a new era. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril, but they were ready to take the first steps together. As the group discussed their next steps, a low hum filled the air. The lab's communication system crackled to life, projecting a holographic image of the United Nations Secretary-General. Dr. Gray, the Secretary-General said, her face etched with a mixture of awe and concern. The events at the Galactic Plaza have sent shockwaves across Earth. We need you and your team to return immediately. The world's governments are convening an emergency session to address this unprecedented situation. Jordan exchanged glances with her companions. Understood, Madam Secretary. We'll depart as soon as possible. As the hologram faded, Captain Harper tapped his communicator. I'll arrange for immediate transport back to Earth. In the weeks that followed, Earth transformed into a hub of interstellar activity. Designated first contact zones sprouted in major cities around the globe, their gleaming structures a stark contrast to the familiar skylines. New York's Central Park, London's Hyde Park, and Tokyo's Ueno Park became epicenters of alien-human interaction, their pathways teeming with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Jordan found herself thrust into the role of Earth's primary ambassador to the newly formed Interspecies Genetic Exchange Council. The massive space station that served as the IGC headquarters loomed above Earth, a shining beacon of interstellar cooperation. As Jordan sat in yet another high-stakes negotiation, she felt the familiar tingle of her enhanced empathic abilities. The Zorblaxian delegate's tentacles were twitching nervously, betraying his anxiety despite his calm exterior. Ambassador Klex, Jordan said gently, I sense your concerns about the genetic exchange program. Perhaps if we adjusted the protocol to include additional safeguards for Zorblaxian genetic stability. The aliens I stalked swiveled towards her, surprise evident in their rapid blinking. You understand our fears? Yes, additional safeguards would be most welcome. Jordan smiled, feeling the tension in the room dissipate. Another crisis averted, another step towards galactic harmony. Meanwhile, Sarah had thrown herself into developing her light manipulation abilities. In a state-of-the-art laboratory, she focused intently on a swirling mass of photons before her. Come on, she muttered, her brow furrowed in concentration. Suddenly, the light coalesced into a tight beam, shooting across the room and connecting with a receiver on the far wall. Sarah's triumphant whoop echoed through the lab. Dr. Zen, I've done it. The light-based communication relay is stable. Dr. Zen hurried over, her iridescent eyes wide with excitement. Extraordinary! With this technology, we can revolutionize interstellar communication. The implications for galactic cooperation are enormous. Across the globe, Captain Jack Harper stood before a group of Earth's finest soldiers and pilots. The hangar behind him housed sleek spacecraft of both human and alien design. Welcome to the Interstellar Security Force. Harper's voice rang out, his enhanced physique cutting an impressive figure. You've been chosen to defend Earth's interests in space and maintain peace among our new galactic neighbors. The training will be intense. You'll learn combat techniques from a dozen different species and master technologies you never dreamed existed. But I have faith in each and every one of you. As Earth adapted to its new role in galactic affairs, not everyone embraced the changes with open arms. In cities around the world, protesters took to the streets, their signs decrying the alien invasion and demanding stricter regulation of genetic exchange programs. Jordan watched the news reports with a heavy heart. We need to address these concerns, she told Sarah and Captain Harper during a rare moment of downtime. If we can't convince our own people of the benefits of interspecies cooperation, how can we hope to maintain our standing in the galactic community? Sarah nodded, her newly acquired bioluminescent patterns pulsing with drive. We could organize public demonstrations of the genetic exchange process, show people that it's safe, controlled, and beneficial. And we'll need to step up security, Harper added, his tactician's mind already formulating plans, both to protect our alien visitors and to prevent any extremist groups from causing harm. As they discussed strategies, a message came through on Jordan's communicator. It was from Admiral Zara, the new leader of the Wadi civilization. Ambassador Gray, Zara's holographic form flickered into view. The Wadi High Council has voted unanimously to formalize our alliance with Earth. We're prepared to offer our technology and trade networks in exchange for continued access to the genetic exchange programs. Jordan's eyes widened at the implications. An alliance with the Wadi would significantly boost Earth's standing in the galactic community. That's wonderful news, Admiral. I'll inform the IGC immediately. As Jordan ended the call, she couldn't shake the feeling that Earth's rapid rise to prominence might not sit well with everyone in the galaxy. But for now, she pushed those concerns aside. There was work to be done, bridges to be built, and a new era of interstellar cooperation to usher in. Little did Jordan know that far above, on a hidden celestial outpost, a group known as the Cosmic Conservators was watching Earth's activities with growing unease. Their leader, a being of pure energy, addressed his compatriots. Earth's unchecked genetic experimentation threatens the fabric of galactic stability, the Celestial intoned. We must take action to contain this potential catastrophe. As the Cosmic Conservators began to plot, the stage was set for a clash that would test the limits of Earth's newfound alliances and the dedication of Jordan and her team. As the Cosmic Conservators began to plot, the stage was set for a clash that would test the limits of Earth's newfound alliances and the dedication of Jordan and her team. However, unaware of the brewing storm, Earth continued to push forward with its ambitious plans for galactic integration. In the weeks following the formation of the Interspecies Genetic Exchange Council, Jordan found herself at the center of a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. The IGC headquarters, a gleaming space station orbiting Earth, buzzed with representatives from dozens of alien species, all eager to participate in the genetic exchange programs. During a particularly intense negotiation session, Jordan received an urgent message from the IGEC's governing body. She excused herself and stepped into a private communication booth, her heart racing with anticipation. The holographic image of the IJEX chairperson, a towering, crystalline being named Xylox, materialized before her. Ambassador Gray, Xylox's melodious voice resonated through the booth. We have a proposal of utmost importance. Jordan straightened, her enhanced empathic abilities sensing the gravity of the situation. I'm listening, Chairperson Xylox. The Council proposes the construction of a massive space station to be named Harmony. It will serve as a neutral ground for controlled genetic exchanges and interspecies diplomacy. We believe Earth's orbit would be the ideal location for this monumental project. Jordan's mind raced with the implications. That's an incredible proposition, Chairperson. But why Earth? Xylox's crystalline form shimmered. Your planet has become the focal point of this galactic revolution. It's only fitting that Harmony be built here, symbolizing Earth's central role in our new era of cooperation. As Jordan processed the information, Xylox continued, We'd like you to oversee the diplomatic aspect of the project, ensuring fair representation for all participating species. Jordan nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. I'd be honored, Chairperson. When do we begin? Immediately, Xylox replied. The fate of galactic harmony rests in your hands, Ambassador Gray. As Jordan exited the communication booth, she nearly collided with Sarah, whose bioluminescent patterns pulsed with excitement. Jordan, Sarah exclaimed, her eyes wide. You won't believe what's happening. A new alien race just arrived at Earth, and they're requesting to join the genetic exchange programs. Jordan's eyebrows shot up. Another new species? Who are they? Sarah grabbed Jordan's arm, practically dragging her towards the station's observation deck. They call themselves the Zephyrians. Well, you have to see them for yourself. As they reached the deck, Jordan's breath caught in her throat. A sleek, silver spacecraft had just docked with the station. From its airlock emerged a group of tall, graceful humanoids with shimmering, translucent skin that seemed to capture and reflect the starlight. The leader of the delegation, a Zephyrian with swirling patterns of light beneath its skin, approached Jordan and Sarah. Its voice was like a whisper of wind through leaves. I am Ambassador Lyra of the Zephyrian people. We come seeking knowledge and offering our own in return. Jordan extended her hand in greeting, marveling at the coolness of Lyra's touch. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Lyra. I'm Jordan Gray, Earth's representative to the IGC. We're honored by your presence. As Jordan began to explain the genetic exchange programs, she noticed Captain Jack Harper enter the observation deck, his enhanced physique drawing admiring glances from both humans and aliens alike. He made his way to the group, his eyes fixed on Ambassador Lyra. Captain Harper, Jordan said, meet Ambassador Lyra of the Zephyrians. Ambassador, this is Captain Jack Harper, head of Earth's Interstellar Security Force. Harper bowed slightly, a rare smile playing on his lips. Ambassador, it's a pleasure. I've been assigned to provide security for your delegation during your stay. Lyra's skin shimmered with what Jordan interpreted as interest. How fascinating. Perhaps you could give me a tour of your genetic exchange facilities, Captain? I'm particularly interested in your security measures. As Harper led Lyra away, Jordan couldn't help but notice the spark of attraction between them. She pushed aside a twinge of, was it jealousy? There were more pressing matters at hand. Turning to Sarah, Jordan took a deep breath. We need to gather the team. The IGC has just proposed something big, and we're going to need all hands on deck. Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. What's the plan? Jordan gazed out at the stars, her mind already racing with the challenges ahead. We're going to build Harmony, Sarah. A massive space station right here in Earth orbit. And it's going to change everything. As they left the observation deck to brief the rest of the team, Neither Jordan nor Sarah noticed the flickering shadows in a far corner of the room. There, hidden from view, a being of pure energy watched their departure, its form shimmering with concern. The Cosmic Conservator agent transmitted a message to its hidden base. Earth's influence grows. The Harmony Project has begun. We must accelerate our plans. In the depths of space, far from Earth's watchful eyes, the Cosmic Conservators prepared to make their move, setting in motion a chain of events that would test the limits of Earth's newfound alliances and the very concept of interspecies harmony. As the Cosmic Conservators plotted in the shadows, Earth continued its ambitious march towards galactic integration. The construction of Harmony, the massive space station that would serve as a neutral ground for genetic exchanges and interspecies diplomacy, progressed at an unprecedented pace. Jordan Gray stood at the viewport of her office on the IGC headquarters, watching as the gleaming structure of Harmony took shape against the backdrop of Earth. The station's graceful curves and iridescent panels reflected the sunlight, creating a dazzling spectacle visible from the planet's surface. A chime at her door interrupted her reverie. "Come in," she called, turning to face her visitor. Sarah entered, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with excitement. "Jordan, the final systems check for Harmony's life support is complete. We're on schedule for the grand opening ceremony." Jordan nodded, a smile tugging at her lips. "Excellent work, Sarah. How are the alien delegations settling in?" "Most have arrived and are adapting well to their quarters," Sarah replied. "The Zephyrians, in particular, seem quite taken with the station's design." As they discussed the final preparations, an urgent message flashed across Jordan's comm screen. Her expression hardened as she read the report. "Sarah, we have a problem. Several key components of Harmony's life support systems have just malfunctioned." Sarah's eyes widened. "That's impossible. We just finished the checks." Jordan was already moving towards the door. "Contact Captain Harper immediately. This smells like sabotage." Within minutes, they were aboard a shuttle racing towards Harmony. Captain Jack Harper met them at the docking bay, his enhanced physique tense with alertness. "Ambassador, we've initiated a full security sweep," Harper reported as they strode through the station's corridors. "My teams have found evidence of deliberate tampering in multiple systems." Jordan's mind raced. "We need to contain this information. If word gets out..." Her words were cut short by a cacophony of angry voices emanating from the main conference hall. As they approached, they saw a crowd of alien delegates engaged in heated arguments. "Cannot guarantee our safety," a Zorblaxian representative was shouting, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "This is an outrage," a crystalline Xyloxian added, her facets flashing with indignation. "We demand an immediate explanation." Jordan stepped forward, her enhanced empathic abilities working overtime to project calm and reassurance. "Esteemed delegates, I understand your concerns. We are addressing the situation with utmost urgency and transparency." As Jordan worked to soothe the diplomatic crisis, Sarah pulled Captain Harper aside. "Jack, I've been tracking some strange interference in our light-based communication network. I think I've found the source." Harper's eyes narrowed. "Show me." Sarah led him to a maintenance shaft, where Vex was already waiting. The hybrid's unique senses had helped pinpoint the location of a hidden transmitter. "It's just through here," Sarah whispered, gesturing towards a sealed hatch. As they approached, the hatch suddenly burst open. A group of security personnel emerged, their weapons trained on Sarah, Vex, and Harper. "Stand down," Harper ordered, reaching for his own weapon. The lead security officer smirked. "I don't think so, Captain. The Cosmic Conservators send their regards." In an instant, the corridor erupted into chaos. Sarah focused her powers, creating a dazzling display of light that disoriented the attackers. Vex's hybrid physiology allowed him to adapt quickly, engaging the infiltrators in close combat. Harper tapped his comm unit. "This is Harper. We have hostiles on Deck 7, Section C. All available units converge on my location." As the battle raged on Harmony, Earth faced its own turmoil. News of the sabotage attempt had leaked, sparking massive protests in cities across the globe. Anti-alien sentiment surged, with demonstrators demanding an end to the genetic exchange programs. In New York, a sea of protesters filled Times Square, their angry chants echoing off the towering buildings. "Earth for humans," they shouted, waving signs with xenophobic slogans. Similar scenes played out in London, Tokyo, and dozens of other major cities. Local authorities, overwhelmed by the scale of the demonstrations, reluctantly called for assistance from the Interstellar Security Force. Back on Harmony, Jordan raced to contain the escalating crisis. She burst into the station's main control center, where Dr. Zen and Ambassador Lyra were engaged in an intense discussion. "We may have a solution," Lyra said as Jordan approached. "Our biotechnology can identify individuals who have undergone genetic modification. It could help expose the cosmic conservator agents." Dr. Zen nodded. "The process is non-invasive and completely safe. However, it raises ethical concerns," Jordan finished, understanding the implications immediately. As they debated the merits of the Zephyrian proposal, alarms blared throughout the station. Harper's voice crackled over the comm system. "Ambassador Gray, the conservators are making a push for the control center. We can't hold them off much longer." Jordan's mind raced, weighing the potential consequences of her decision. The fate of Harmony, Earth's standing in the galactic community, and the future of interspecies cooperation hung in the balance. With a deep breath, she turned to Lyra and Dr. Zen. "Implement the screening process, but with strict oversight. We need to end this now." As Dr. Zen hurried to prepare the Zephyrian biotechnology, Jordan steeled herself for the battle ahead. The cosmic conservators had made their move. Now, it was time for Earth to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. As the Zephyrian biotechnology scan swept through Harmony, tension gripped the station. Jordan, Dr. Zen, and Ambassador Lyra watched anxiously as the results filtered in, revealing several cosmic conservator agents hidden among the station's personnel and delegates. Captain Harper's team, guided by the scan's findings, swiftly apprehended the infiltrators. The crisis averted, a collective sigh of relief echoed through Harmony's corridors. In the aftermath, Jordan addressed the gathered delegates, her voice steady and resolute. "Today, we faced a grave threat to our unity. But together, we prevailed. This incident only strengthens our determination to move forward with the grand opening ceremony." The announcement was met with thunderous applause from the alien representatives, their diverse forms creating a kaleidoscope of colors and textures in the conference hall. As the delegates dispersed, Jordan turned to Harper and Sarah. "We have work to do. The ceremony must be perfect." In the days that followed, Harmony buzzed with activity. Security protocols were tightened, and final preparations for the grand opening accelerated. Amidst the controlled chaos, Dr. Zen made a startling discovery. "Ambassador Gray." Dr. Zen burst into Jordan's office, her eyes wide with excitement. "We've found something extraordinary in Vex's genetic makeup." Jordan leaned forward, intrigued. "What is it?" Dr. Zen activated a holographic display, showing a complex DNA strand. "These genes. They allow for unprecedented compatibility between species. It could revolutionize our entire genetic exchange program." The implications of this discovery rippled through Harmony and to Earth. Public opinion shifted rapidly as humans realized the potential benefits of safely incorporating alien traits. Anti-alien protests dwindled, replaced by a surge of interest in the exchange programs. Captain Harper, ever the pragmatist, saw an opportunity to build trust. "I'll do it. he announced during a strategy meeting. I'll undergo the procedure to incorporate Zephyrian traits. Jordan's eyebrows shot up. Are you sure, Jack? The risks. Harper's eyes met hers, unwavering. It's worth it. We need to show everyone that this technology is safe and beneficial. The procedure, overseen by Dr. Zen and Ambassador Lyra, was a success. Harper emerged with enhanced senses and reflexes, his already impressive physical capabilities now bordering on superhuman. As news of Harper's transformation spread, Sarah approached Jordan with another breakthrough. We've integrated Zephyrian biotechnology into our communication network, she explained, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with excitement. It's faster, more secure, and can span interstellar distances instantaneously. Jordan marveled at the rapid advancements. This is incredible, Sarah. Your work is going to change everything. As the day of the grand opening ceremony drew near, Jordan found herself grappling with unexpected emotions. The success of the genetic compatibility breakthrough had opened new possibilities, forcing her to confront her feelings for both Sarah and the newly enhanced Captain Harper. She pushed these thoughts aside as she focused on the monumental task of coordinating the ceremony. Thousands of alien delegates descended upon Harmony, their ships filling the station's docking bays in a breathtaking display of galactic diversity. The night before the ceremony, as Jordan reviewed the final security protocols with Harper, alarms blared through the station. Harper's enhanced senses immediately picked up on subtle vibrations in the deck plating. Intruders, he growled, already moving towards the source of the disturbance. Lower deck, Section 7. Jordan's comm unit crackled to life with Sarah's voice. Jordan, we've detected a group of Wadi extremists. They're after you and Admiral Zara. Harper's team converged on the lower deck, engaging the Wadi infiltrators in a fierce firefight. The captain's enhanced reflexes proved invaluable as he dodged energy blasts and incapacitated multiple attackers with precision strikes. Jordan coordinated the response from the command center, her heart racing as she watched the battle unfold on the security feeds. After an intense struggle, Harper's team subdued the last of the extremists. As the all-clear signal sounded, Jordan exhaled slowly, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. The incident was a stark reminder of the challenges that lay ahead in maintaining peace among such a diverse galactic community. The next morning, despite the previous night's events, the grand opening ceremony proceeded as planned. Jordan stood before the assembled delegates, her voice carrying across the vast chamber and the billions of beings watching across the galaxy. Today, we stand at the threshold of a new era, she began, her words resonating with conviction. An era of unity, of shared knowledge, and of unprecedented cooperation between species. As she spoke, Jordan's gaze swept across the chamber, taking in the myriad forms of the alien delegates. Her eyes lingered briefly on Sarah, whose bioluminescent patterns pulsed with pride, and then on Harper, standing tall and vigilant at the edge of the crowd. The challenges we have faced and overcome together have only strengthened our determination, Jordan continued. The genetic exchange programs, once a subject of fear and mistrust, now offer us the key to a future limited only by our imagination. The ceremony culminated in a symbolic genetic exchange between representatives of 20 different species. As humans, Wadi, Zephyrians, and others shared their unique genetic gifts, Jordan felt a surge of hope for the future. As the ceremony concluded and the delegates began to disperse, Jordan found herself at the center of a whirlwind of congratulations and diplomatic overtures. New alien species, drawn by Earth's growing influence, sought to establish relations and participate in the genetic exchange programs. Amidst the chaos, Jordan caught sight of Sarah and Harper deep in conversation, their heads bent close together. A complex mix of emotions washed over her as she realized that the success of the ceremony was just the beginning. The real work and the real challenges lay ahead. With Earth's prominence in galactic affairs now firmly established, Jordan knew that her role, and the roles of those closest to her, would only become more crucial. As she prepared to navigate the intricate web of interspecies politics and manage the expanding genetic exchange programs, she couldn't help but wonder how her personal relationships would evolve in this brave new world they had created. The grand opening of Harmony marked not an end, but a beginning, a first step into a vast and unknown future filled with both promise and peril. The grand opening of Harmony marked not an end, but a beginning, a first step into a vast and unknown future filled with both promise and challenges. As the ceremony concluded, Jordan found herself thrust into a whirlwind of activity, the station transforming into a bustling hub of interspecies cooperation. Days turned into weeks, and Harmony's corridors teemed with representatives from countless alien races. The genetic exchange programs expanded rapidly, drawing participants eager to explore the newfound compatibility between species. Jordan, now the face of human-alien cooperation, navigated the complex web of diplomacy with grace and commitment. One particularly busy morning, as Jordan reviewed reports in her office, a priority communication came through. "Ambassador Gray," Captain Harper's voice crackled over the comm. "We have a new arrival. You'll want to see this." Intrigued, Jordan made her way to the docking bay. As the airlock cycled open, she gasped. A group of tall, slender humanoids emerged, their skin adorned with intricate, pulsating patterns of light. The leader stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Ambassador Gray," the alien said, its voice melodious, "I am Zara, representative of the Novalian people. We come seeking diplomatic relations and participation in your remarkable genetic exchange programs." Jordan extended her hand in greeting, marveling at the way the Novalians' bioluminescent patterns shifted and swirled. "Welcome to Harmony, Ambassador Zara. We're honored by your presence." As Jordan led the Novalian delegation on a tour of the station, she noticed Captain Harper's enhanced gaze fixed intently on their visitors. His brow furrowed in concentration, eyes darting from one Novalian to another. "Jack," Jordan whispered, falling into step beside him. "What is it?" Harper's voice was low, barely audible. "They're light patterns. They change when they interact with us. It's subtle, but I can see it. I think there's more to their bioluminescence than simple decoration." Jordan nodded, making a mental note to have Dr. Zen look into this observation. The implications could be significant for interspecies communication. As the tour reached the genetic exchange facilities, Ambassador Zara's excitement became palpable. The Novalians' light patterns pulsed more rapidly, casting a soft glow on the surrounding equipment. "Fascinating," Zara breathed, examining a holographic display of recent compatibility breakthroughs. "The potential here is truly remarkable. We Novalians have long sought ways to expand our own genetic diversity. Perhaps, through cooperation, we can achieve great things together." While Jordan and the Novalians discussed the finer points of genetic exchange, alarms blared throughout the station. Sarah's voice came over the comm system, tinged with urgency. "Jordan, we have a situation. The communication network is experiencing massive surges. We're seeing outages across multiple sectors." Jordan excused herself from the Novalian delegation, leaving them in Harper's capable hands. She raced to the central hub, where she found Sarah and Vex hunched over a complex array of holographic displays. Sarah's bioluminescent patterns flashed erratically, mirroring the chaos on the screens. The influx of data from all these new species. It's overwhelming the system. We're struggling to keep up with the processing demands. Vex nodded, their hybrid physiology allowing them to interface directly with the station systems. The network architecture wasn't designed for this level of diversity. We need to recalibrate and expand our processing capabilities. Jordan watched as Sarah and Vex worked in tandem, their movements a fluid dance of efficiency. Despite the urgency of the situation, she couldn't help but admire their seamless cooperation, a living embodiment of the unity Harmony strived to achieve. As the hours ticked by, Sarah and Vex made progress in stabilizing the network, but their efforts revealed something unexpected. Vex's eyes widened as they processed a stream of data. "Sarah, look at this," they said, projecting a series of encrypted fragments onto a nearby screen. "These data packets, they don't match any known communication protocols." Sarah leaned in, her bioluminescence pulsing with curiosity. "You're right. The encryption is like nothing I've ever seen. It's as if it's coming from somewhere beyond our known space." Jordan felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying we've intercepted communications from an unknown alien civilization?" Sarah nodded slowly. "It's possible. The data suggests a highly advanced species, one that's been observing us, observing the genetic exchange programs." The implications of this discovery were staggering. Jordan's mind raced with possibilities and potential consequences. She knew she had to convene the Interstellar Genetic Exchange Council immediately. As Jordan prepared to call the emergency meeting, Captain Harper's voice came over her private comm channel. "Jordan, we need you in the lower levels. Now." The urgency in his tone was unmistakable. Jordan hurried to the indicated location, finding Harper and a security team gathered outside a previously unexplored chamber. Harper's enhanced senses were on high alert, his body tense. "We detected energy fluctuations. Let us here. You need to see this." As they entered the chamber, Jordan's breath caught in her throat. In the center of the room, suspended in a field of shimmering energy, was an object unlike anything she had ever seen. It pulsed with an otherworldly light, its surface covered in intricate, ever-changing patterns. "What is it?" Jordan whispered, unable to tear her eyes away from the mesmerizing artifact. Harper shook his head. "No idea, but it's connected to the station somehow. I can feel it." As Jordan stared at the mysterious object, she realized that Harmony, and perhaps the entire course of human-alien relations, stood on the brink of a new and uncharted frontier. The artifact, the hidden civilization, the Novalians' arrival. All pieces of a cosmic puzzle they were only beginning to understand. With a deep breath, Jordan activated her comm unit. "This is Ambassador Gray. I'm calling an emergency session of the IGC. We have much to discuss." "Discuss. We have a situation that requires immediate attention." As Jordan's voice echoed through the station's communication systems, the mysterious artifact pulsed with increasing intensity. Suddenly, a blinding flash of energy erupted from its core, engulfing the chamber and spreading rapidly throughout Harmony. The pulse swept through the station like a tidal wave, passing through walls and bodies alike. Jordan felt a searing sensation in her mind as the energy washed over her. She stumbled, clutching her head, overwhelmed by a flood of sensations. "Jack, are you all right?" she called out, her voice strained. But as she turned to face Captain Harper, she gasped. It wasn't just his physical form she saw, but a swirling aura of emotions and intentions. She could sense his concern, his alertness, and a hint of fear beneath his stoic exterior. "I'm fine," Harper replied, his eyes darting around the room with newfound intensity. "But something's different. I can anticipate things before they happen." Before Jordan could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Sarah's voice crackled over the comm, tinged with urgency and a hint of wonder. "Jordan, we've got multiple system failures across Harmony. Life support is offline in sections 3 through 7. And I don't know how to explain this, but I can manipulate light in ways I never could before." As if to demonstrate, a shimmering construct of solid light appeared next to Jordan, taking the form of Sarah. The light Sarah gestured frantically, her movements mirroring the real Sarah's voice. We need to evacuate the affected areas immediately. I'm coordinating with the emergency response teams, but we're going to need help." Jordan nodded, her enhanced empathy allowing her to sense the rising panic throughout the station. "I'm on my way to the control center. Jack, can you oversee the evacuation?" Harper nodded, his movements precise and calculated. "Already on it. I can almost see the optimal evacuation routes in my mind." As Jordan rushed towards the central hub, she felt the station lurch beneath her feet. Gravity fluctuated wildly, creating pockets of weightlessness. She pushed off walls and floated through corridors, her newfound empathic abilities guiding her around clusters of panicked delegates. Reaching the control center, Jordan found Sarah and Vex working feverishly to stabilize the station systems. Sarah's hands danced over the controls, streams of light extending from her fingers to bypass damaged circuits. Vex, however, had undergone a startling transformation. Their bodies swirled with energy, parts of them phasing in and out of reality. "Jordan," they said, their voice echoing as if from multiple dimensions, "the artifact's energy is causing unprecedented genetic modifications across the station. We're seeing spontaneous hybridization between species in close proximity." Before Jordan could process this information, a new presence filled the room. A group of ethereal beings materialized in the center of the control hub, their forms shimmering with otherworldly energy. One of the beings stepped forward, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "I am Ambassador Zalara of the Quantum Collective. We are the creators of the artifact you discovered. We have come to assess your readiness for the next stage of genetic evolution." Jordan's enhanced empathy sensed a mix of curiosity, caution, and immense power from the Quantum Collective. She stepped forward, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Ambassador Zalara, I am Jordan Gray, representative of Earth and the human species. We welcome you to Harmony, though I must admit, your arrival comes at a challenging time." Zalara's form rippled, conveying a sense of acknowledgement. The activation of the artifact was a necessary test. It has unlocked latent genetic potential in many species, accelerating their evolution. However, this rapid change brings both opportunity and danger. As if to underscore Zalara's words, a group of Novalians burst into the control center, their bioluminescent patterns now projecting vivid, three-dimensional images of the station's damaged sectors. Ambassador Zara, their leader, stepped forward. "We've discovered new abilities that allow us to communicate complex information through our bioluminescence. We're here to assist in any way we can." Jordan nodded, grateful for their help. She turned back to Zalara, her mind racing with the implications of these events. "Ambassador, while we appreciate the opportunity for advancement, the uncontrolled nature of these changes is putting lives at risk. Is there a way to stabilize the effects of the artifact?" Before Zalara could respond, Captain Harper's voice came through the comm system. "Jordan, we've got a situation in the docking bay. Some of the genetic changes have resulted in... Well, you need to see this for yourself." Jordan exchanged glances with Sarah and Vex. "We'll be right there," she replied, then addressed Zalara. "Ambassador, I hope you'll join us. It seems we have much to discuss about the future of genetic manipulation and its consequences." As they moved to leave the control center, Jordan felt the weight of countless lives resting on her shoulders. The station's struggles were just the beginning, and the arrival of the Quantum Collective had just added a new layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. With her enhanced empathy guiding her, Jordan steeled herself for the challenges ahead, knowing that the next few hours would shape the course of human-alien relations for generations to come. Come, the challenges ahead would test the limits of their newfound abilities and the strength of their interspecies alliances. As Jordan stepped forward to address the assembled representatives, a violent tremor shook the station. The lights flickered ominously, and a deafening hum filled the air. Jordan stumbled, catching herself on a nearby console. "What's happening?" she shouted over the din. Before anyone could respond, a blinding surge of energy erupted from the station's core, washing over everything in its path. Jordan felt a searing pain in her head as her empathic abilities expanded exponentially. Suddenly, she was aware of every being on the station, their fears, hopes, and confusion crashing over her like a tidal wave. Sarah let out a cry of alarm as her body began to glow with an intense, otherworldly light. Beams of energy shot from her fingertips, creating dazzling but uncontrolled constructs of light that danced and twisted through the air. "I can't stop it," she gasped, her voice tinged with panic. Captain Harper doubled over, his hands pressed against his ears. His enhanced senses, already acute, had become unbearably sharp. Every sound, every smell, every touch was amplified to excruciating levels. The artifact, Zalara's voice echoed in their minds, somehow cutting through the chaos. "It's initiating the Great Convergence." As if in response to the Quantum Collective Ambassador's words, the station's holographic displays flickered to life, showing a myriad of warnings and alerts. Emergency alarms blared, their wailing adding to the cacophony of sounds assaulting Harper's heightened senses. Jordan fought through the empathic assault, forcing herself to focus on the immediate crisis. She could feel waves of panic emanating from the gathered delegates, threatening to spiral into chaos. "Everyone, please remain calm," she shouted, her voice barely audible over the alarms. "We need to—" Her words were cut short as a group of Novalians, led by Ambassador Zara, stepped forward. Their bodies pulsed with intricate patterns of bioluminescence, projecting a calming aura that seemed to ripple through the crowd. Jordan felt the panic subside slightly, replaced by a wary curiosity. Zara's voice was steady as she addressed the room. "We must work together to understand what's happening. Our enhanced abilities may be the key to navigating this crisis." As if on cue, Dr. Zen burst into the room, her lab coat singed and her hair disheveled. "The artifact's energy is spreading beyond the station," she reported breathlessly. "It's affecting nearby ships and Earth's upper atmosphere is showing signs of disturbance." The news sent a fresh wave of fear through the assembled delegates. Jordan could feel their emotions threatening to overwhelm her again, but she gritted her teeth and pushed back, establishing a fragile balance. "Dr. Zen," she managed, "what can we do to contain this?" Before the scientists could respond, Vex's form began to shimmer and distort. Their bodies seemed to phase in and out of reality, becoming translucent one moment and solid the next. I think I can interface with the artifact," Vex said, their voice echoing strangely. "I might be able to regulate its output." Without waiting for a response, Vex's body dissolved into pure energy, streaming towards the heart of the station where the artifact lay. The assembled crowd watched in awe as Vex's essence merged with the ancient technology. For a moment, everything went silent. The alarms ceased, and even the hum of the station's system seemed to fade away. Then, with a thunderous crack, a shockwave of energy burst forth from the artifact chamber. Jordan stumbled back, her pupils dilating from the influx of new sensations. She could feel everything, every being on the station, every emotion, every thought. It was overwhelming, yet somehow she found herself able to process it all. She turned to see Sarah surrounded by a cocoon of light, her body levitating several inches off the ground. Captain Harper stood rigid, his eyes darting around the room, taking in every minute detail with impossible clarity. And then, before their eyes, new forms began to take shape throughout the atrium. Beings of impossible configuration emerged, hybrids of multiple species that defied classification. Some had the bioluminescent skin of the Novalians, combined with the crystalline structures of the Zarlax. Others displayed a mix of human and Wadi traits, their bodies adapting and changing even as they formed. The Great Convergence, Zalara intoned, her ethereal form rippling with excitement and apprehension. It has begun. As the implications of Zalara's words sank in, Jordan became aware of a new presence in her mind. It was Vex. Their consciousness expanded beyond anything she could have imagined. Jordan. Vex's voice echoed in her thoughts. The artifact. It contains knowledge beyond our wildest dreams. But the Quantum Collective, their intentions are not what they seem. Before Jordan could process this revelation, a commotion near the entrance to the atrium caught her attention. A group of Wadi, their eyes gleaming with fanatical fervor, burst into the room. "For King Zexlor," they cried, brandishing weapons. "We claim this station and its power in his name." Jordan's mind raced, trying to formulate a response to this new threat. But as she prepared to act, she became acutely aware of a new sensation, a growing connection between herself, Sarah, and Captain Harper. Their shared experience, their enhanced abilities, had forged a bond that transcended mere friendship. As chaos erupted around them, Jordan knew she had to make a decision. The fate of Harmony, Earth, and countless species hung in the balance. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, ready to address the assembled representatives and chart a course through the storm. Storm of chaos unfolding before her. She opened her mouth to speak, but her words were lost in a deafening roar as the artifact unleashed a massive surge of energy. The room plunged into darkness, screens flickering and dying as the surge disrupted all communication systems. Jordan stumbled, her enhanced empathy suddenly overwhelmed by a tidal wave of fear and confusion from every being on the station. As the emergency lights sputtered to life, Jordan gasped at the sight before her. The assembled representatives were changing, their bodies twisting and morphing as the artifact's energy accelerated the process of interspecies hybridization. "Sarah," Jordan called out, searching for her friend amidst the chaos. She found Sarah surrounded by a pulsing cocoon of light, her body levitating several inches off the ground. Tendrils of energy crackled around her, forming intricate patterns in the air. "I can't control it," Sarah cried, her voice distorted by the power coursing through her. Captain Harper appeared at Jordan's side, his eyes darting around the room with inhuman speed. "Multiple threats detected," he said, his voice clipped and precise. "Wadi radicals approaching from the east corridor. Unknown vessels docking in Bay 3. Jordan nodded, trying to process the information through the cacophony of emotions assaulting her mind. She could feel her own abilities evolving, pushing her to the brink of losing control. Suddenly, the station's docking alarms blared to life. A massive ship, sleek and silver, latched onto Harmony's hull. The airlock cycled open, revealing a group of tall, cybernetic beings. Their leader, a female with glowing circuitry patterns across her metallic skin, strode forward. "I am Primus Zamna of the Synths," she announced, her voice carrying a slight electronic undertone. "We offer our assistance in stabilizing this crisis." Before Jordan could respond, Captain Harper tensed beside her. "Incoming!" he shouted, pushing Jordan to the ground as a barrage of energy blasts tore through the air. The Radical Wadi faction had launched their assault, taking advantage of the communication blackout. Harper sprang into action, his movements a blur as he engaged the attackers. "Jordan," he called out between strikes, "I can see their moves before they make them. Get the civilians to safety." Jordan nodded, reaching out with her empathic abilities to guide the panicked delegates towards the emergency shelters. As she worked, she noticed Sarah struggling to maintain a containment field around the artifact. Light poured from Sarah's hands, forming solid barriers that ultimately blocked and cleared evacuation routes. Novalian engineers rushed to her side, their bioluminescent skin pulsing in harmony with Sarah's light constructs. "We're stabilizing the critical areas," one of the Novalians shouted over the din. "But we can't hold it for long." In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Zen's voice crackled over the emergency comms. "Jordan, The artifact's energy signature. It's following a pattern. There's an intelligence guiding these modifications. Jordan's mind raced, trying to piece together the implications. She glanced at the quantum collective representatives, their ethereal forms rippling with what she now recognized as uncertainty. A familiar presence touched Jordan's mind. Vex, still merged with the artifact. Jordan, their voice echoed in her thoughts. The artifact is part of something bigger, a network spanning the galaxy, guiding evolution. This is a test. The revelation hit Jordan like a physical blow. As she struggled to process this information, a new threat emerged. Prima Xantha and her synth companions began deploying swarms of nanobots throughout the station. "What are you doing?" Jordan demanded, her empathic senses picking up a shift in the synth's intentions. Xantha's eyes gleamed with cold calculation. "Securing our future," she replied. "The hybrid genetic material created here is the key to perfecting our evolution." Captain Harper, having dispatched the Wadi attackers, turned his attention to the synths. "Not on my watch," he growled, signaling his security team to engage the new threat. As battles erupted across the station, Jordan felt herself drawn toward the artifact. Its pulsing energy called to her, promising answers and power beyond imagining. "Jordan, wait," Sarah called out, her voice strained as she maintained the light barriers. But Jordan couldn't stop. She approached the artifact's core, feeling its energy wash over her. Suddenly, she was enveloped in a cocoon of swirling light and data. Images and sensations flooded her mind. The vastness of the galaxy, the intricate dance of evolution, the potential futures branching out before her. Outside the cocoon, chaos reigned. Captain Harper led a desperate defense against both Wadi radicals and synth infiltrators. Sarah, pushed to her limits, tapped into a new aspect of her powers, creating a network of light conduits for rapid station-wide transportation. Dr. Zen and her team worked feverishly to understand and stabilize the genetic modifications, aided by the stream of data now flowing from Vex's connection to the artifact. As Earth's containment fleet approached, the fate of Harmony, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The choices made in the next few moments would shape the course of interspecies relations for generations to come. Inside the artifact's energy field, Jordan felt her consciousness expanding, merging with Sarah and Captain Harper as they were drawn into the shared mindscape. Together, they stood at the precipice of a new era, facing the ultimate test of their humanity and their newfound abilities. Abilities and newfound connection. As the energy field dissipated, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper found themselves standing before the assembled crowd, their bodies transformed in ways that defied imagination. Jordan's skin now shimmered with intricate patterns of bioluminescence, pulsing in rhythm with her accelerated heartbeat. Sarah's form seemed to glow from within, her hair transformed into strands of pure, radiant light that danced and shifted with her movements. Captain Harper stood tall, his physique more imposing than ever, his skin gleaming with a metallic sheen that reflected the emergency lights of the station. The chaos in the atrium came to an abrupt halt as all eyes turned to the transformed trio. Even the Wadi radicals and synth infiltrators paused in their attacks, struck by the sight before them. Prima Xantha's eyes widened, her cybernetic implants whirring as she processed the implications of what she saw. "Capture them," she commanded, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "They are the key to our evolution." The synth forces surged forward, their metallic limbs reconfiguring into capture devices. Captain Harper's enhanced reflexes kicked in, his body moving with impossible speed as he intercepted the first wave of attackers. "Jordan, Sarah, we need to move," he shouted, his voice carrying a metallic resonance that matched his new appearance. As they retreated from the advancing synths, alarms blared throughout the station. Dr. Zen's voice crackled over the emergency comms, strained but determined. "The artifact's energy is causing rapid genetic drift across the station. We're implementing a stabilization protocol, but it will take time to synthesize and distribute. Jordan's newly heightened senses picked up a surge of panic from the direction of the power core. She turned to Sarah, whose light-infused eyes met hers with understanding. "The Wadi," Jordan said, her voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic. "They've taken the power core." As if on cue, a gruff voice boomed over the station-wide communication system. "This is Commander Kraz of the Wadi Liberation Front. We control Harmony's power core. Meet our demands for Wadi supremacy, or we'll overload the systems and destroy the station." Captain Harper, still engaged in combat with the Synth forces, called out to Jordan and Sarah. "Go. Deal with the Wadi. I'll hold off Zamna and her troops." Sarah nodded, stretching out her hand. A conduit of pure light materialized before them, forming a shimmering tunnel through the air. "This way," she said, pulling Jordan into the light construct. They emerged near the power core, where they found a group of Wadi rebels led by Commander Kraz, a battle-scarred warrior with cybernetic augmentations. Kraz's eyes narrowed as he took in their transformed appearances. "What manner of abominations are you?" he snarled, raising his weapon. Jordan stepped forward, her hands raised in a placating gesture. "Commander Kraz, we're not your enemies. This crisis affects all of us. If we don't work together, there won't be a station left for anyone to control." As Jordan spoke, she felt her empathic abilities reaching out, sensing the fear and desperation beneath Kraz's bravado. She projected a sense of calm, trying to ease the tension in the room. Kraz hesitated, his finger twitching on the trigger of his weapon. "Why should we trust you? You're not even human anymore." Before Jordan could respond, Sarah stepped forward, her body emanating a soft, comforting glow. "We're still ourselves, Commander. We've just evolved, like everyone on this station is evolving. But we can help stabilize the process if you let us." As the standoff continued, Dr. Zen's voice came through Jordan's comm unit. "Jordan, I've synthesized the genetic stabilizers, but I need a way to distribute them quickly throughout the station." An idea struck Jordan. She turned to Sarah, whose eyes lit up with understanding. "The light conduits," they said in unison. Sarah began crafting a network of light tunnels throughout the station, connecting to the air filtration systems. As she worked, Jordan faced Commander Kraz again. "You have a choice, Commander. You can help us save everyone on this station, or you can destroy it all. What would truly serve the Wadi people better?" Kraz's persistence wavered, and Jordan sensed a shift in his emotions. After a tense moment, he lowered his weapon. "Fine. What do you need us to do?" With the Wadi's cooperation secured, Jordan coordinated with Dr. Zen to release the genetic stabilizers through Sarah's light conduit network. As the stabilizing agent spread throughout Harmony, the uncontrolled mutations began to slow. Jordan's relief was short-lived, however, as a new crisis emerged. The station shuddered as Earth's containment fleet entered orbit. Admiral Perry's stern visage appeared on the main view screen, his expression grim. "This is Admiral Perry of the Earth Defense Force. You have 6 hours to contain this genetic anomaly, or we will be forced to quarantine Harmony Station permanently." As the Admiral's ultimatum hung in the air, Jordan felt a familiar presence touch her mind. It was Vex, still merged with the artifact, their consciousness expanded beyond normal limits. "Jordan," Vex's voice echoed in her thoughts, the artifact. "It's not just a tool. It's a gateway. The intelligence guiding these changes, it's the combined consciousness of an ancient race. They've been waiting for this moment for eons." The revelation sent Jordan's heart pounding. She looked at Sarah, whose light-infused eyes reflected the same mix of awe and apprehension she felt. They both knew that whatever decision they made next would shape not just their own futures, but the future of all species in the galaxy. As Jordan prepared to share this information with the others, a violent tremor shook the station. Alarms blared as Harmony's systems registered multiple hull breaches. The Synths, led by Primus Zamna, had launched a final, desperate assault to capture Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper. With time running out and threats converging from all sides, Jordan knew she had to act. She reached out, grasping Sarah's hand, feeling the warm pulse of light beneath her skin. Together, they turned towards the heart of the station, where the artifact pulsed with ancient power, waiting for them to unlock its ultimate purpose. Secret, with a shared look of perseverance, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper approached the pulsing artifact, their hands outstretched. As their fingers made contact with its glowing surface, a massive surge of energy enveloped them. The chamber erupted in blinding light, forcing everyone present to shield their eyes. The air crackled with raw power as the trio's bodies began to shimmer and change, their hybrid forms evolving further. When the light finally faded, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper emerged transformed. Jordan's skin now glowed with intricate, swirling patterns that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Her eyes, once a warm brown, now shimmered with an iridescent quality, capable of perceiving multiple spectrums of light. Sarah's body seemed to flicker in and out of solidity, her form becoming almost ethereal. Light danced around her fingertips, responding to her slightest thought. Captain Harper's physique had become more fluid, his muscles and skin rippling, and adapting to the environment around him. "By the stars," Dr. Zen gasped, her voice barely above a whisper as she took in the sight of the transformed trio. Jordan, her mind now connected to the artifact's ancient intelligence, turned to her companions. "We need to act fast," she said, her voice carrying a newfound resonance. "Sarah, can you create a network of light conduits throughout the station?" Sarah nodded, her eyes glowing with inner light. "I can feel the station's layout in my mind. It'll be done in moments." She raised her hands, and streams of luminous energy shot forth, branching out and spreading through the walls and corridors of Harmony. Captain Harper's eyes darted around the room, his enhanced senses picking up incoming threats. "We've got company," he warned, his body tensing. Wadi forces approaching from the east, synths from the west. As if on cue, the doors on either side of the chamber burst open. Commander Kraz led a group of Wadi radicals, their weapons trained on the trio. From the opposite direction, Primus Zamna advanced with her elite synth warriors. "Surrender the artifact," Kraz demanded, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on Jordan. Zamna's metallic voice cut through the tension. "Your evolved forms belong to us now. Submit, and your transition will be painless." Captain Harper moved with impossible speed, his body adapting to create natural armor plating. He positioned himself between the attackers and his companions. "Jordan, Sarah, focus on stabilizing the station. I'll handle this." As Harper engaged the incoming forces, Jordan interfaced with the artifact's intelligence. Information flooded her mind, millennia of knowledge about controlled genetic modification. She began broadcasting this data to Dr. Zen and the other scientists on the station. "Dr. Zen," Jordan called out, her voice strained with concentration, "I'm sending you the information you need to refine the hybridization process. Can you modify your stabilizers?" The scientist's fingers flew over her datapad. "Incredible," she muttered. "Yes, I can work with this. Give me a few minutes to recalibrate the formula." Sarah, meanwhile, had completed her network of light conduits. "The system's ready," she announced. "We can distribute the stabilizers as soon as they're prepared." As they worked, the battle raged around them. Captain Harper moved with fluid grace, his body adapting to each attack. He deflected energy blasts from the Wadi weapons, his skin becoming reflective. Against the synths, his fists hardened into metallic battering rams, denting their armored shells. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the station. Alarms blared as Harmony systems registered multiple hull breaches. Commander Kraw's voice rang out over the chaos. "If we can't have the artifact, no one will. I've overloaded the power core. This station will be destroyed." Sarah's eyes widened in alarm. Without a word, she stretched out her hands, light pouring from her fingertips. A massive force field began to form around the station's damaged sections, buying time for evacuation and repairs. Jordan, still connected to the artifact, felt its power surging through her. She realized she could channel this energy to stabilize Harmony systems. Closing her eyes, she began the delicate process of balancing the power distribution throughout the station. As Jordan worked, she sensed a new presence. The ethereal forms of the quantum collective shimmered into existence around the artifact chamber. Their voices, a harmonic blend of thought and energy, resonated in her mind. "We offer our assistance," they communicated. "The artifact's power must be contained." With a gesture, the quantum collective created a protective barrier around the chamber, preventing any further unauthorized access to the ancient device. Dr. Zen's voice cut through Jordan's concentration. "The modified stabilizers are ready. We can begin distribution now." Sarah activated her light conduit network, and within moments, the stabilizing agents were spreading throughout Harmony. The uncontrolled mutations began to slow, and many of the hybrid beings on the station started to stabilize. As the immediate threats to Harmony were neutralized, a new voice crackled over the station's comm system. "This is Admiral Perry of Earth's containment fleet. We demand a full report on the situation and proof that the genetic mutations have been contained." Jordan stepped forward, her transformed appearance a testament to the events that had unfolded. She began to explain the crisis and the measures taken to tenacity it, knowing that her words would shape the future of interspecies relations throughout the galaxy. As she spoke, Jordan caught the eyes of Sarah and Captain Harper. Their shared gaze held a mixture of relief, uncertainty, and tenacity. They had averted disaster, but the true challenge, navigating their new roles in a changed universe, was just beginning. As Jordan finished her explanation to Admiral Perry, a tense silence filled the command center. The Admiral's stern expression softened slightly, his eyes widening as he processed the magnitude of the situation. "I see," Perry said, his voice gruff but measured. "It seems you've managed to contain the immediate threat. But the implications of this hybridization technology are far-reaching. We'll need to—" He was cut off by a sudden alarm blaring through the station's communication system. Harmony's sensors had detected a massive object approaching at incredible speed. "What in the galaxy is that?" Captain Harper exclaimed, his newly enhanced senses already picking up unusual energy signatures. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a colossal ship emerging from subspace. Its sleek, crystalline structure dwarfed even the largest vessels in Earth's containment fleet. The ship's surface shimmered with an otherworldly iridescence, its very presence seeming to distort the fabric of space around it. "It's a celestial ship," Dr. Zen gasped, her fingers flying over her datapad. "But I've never seen one this size before." The ship's sudden appearance sent a wave of tension through the assembled representatives. Murmurs of concern rippled through the crowd as the massive vessel came to a halt near Harmony Station. A transmission crackled through the comm system. "This is High Arbiter Zorn of the Cosmic Conservators. We request immediate docking access to Harmony Station." Admiral Perry shot a questioning look at Jordan, who nodded grimly. "Grant them access," she said. "We need to hear what they have to say." As the docking procedures began, Sarah stepped closer to Jordan, her light-infused form flickering with anxiety. "The Cosmic Conservators? I've heard whispers about them. They're supposed to be the most secretive and powerful faction among the Celestials. Whatever their reason for being here, Captain Harper interjected, his body subtly shifting to a more defensive stance. "We need to be prepared for anything." The station trembled slightly as the massive celestial ship completed its docking sequence. Moments later, the doors to the command center slid open, revealing a towering figure that seemed to command the very air around it. High Arbiter Zorn stood nearly 3 meters tall, his form radiating an aura of ancient power. His skin shimmered like starlight, and his piercing silver eyes swept across the room, settling on Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper. "So," Zorn's voice resonated with a depth that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. "These are the hybrids who have caused such a stir in our galaxy." Jordan stepped forward, her own transformed appearance a stark contrast to the Celestial's ethereal presence. "High Arbiter Zorn, we welcome you to Harmony Station. I'm Jordan, and these are my companions, Sarah and Captain Harper. We've managed to stabilize the situation here, and—" "Stabilize," Zorn interrupted, his silver eyes flashing. "You've unleashed a power you cannot possibly comprehend. The uncontrolled spread of this hybridization technology threatens the very balance of our galaxy." Captain Harper moved to stand beside Jordan, his adaptive body tense for action. "With all due respect, Arbiter, we've contained the immediate threat and are working on." "Containment is not enough," Zorn declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We've observed Earth's rapid rise to prominence with growing concern. This latest development only confirms our fears. The power you've tapped into must be sealed away, for the good of all species." As Zorn spoke, Dr. Zen approached Jordan, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Jordan," she whispered urgently, "I've made a breakthrough in analyzing your genetic structure. The changes aren't just superficial. They've altered your DNA on a fundamental level. The implications for future generations are staggering." Before Jordan could respond, Admiral Perry's voice cut through the tension. "I've ordered a full security sweep of the station," he announced, his tone brooking no argument. "We need to ensure there are no hidden threats or agendas among our guests." The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as Perry's security teams began their sweep. Alien delegates huddled in groups, their faces showing a mix of fear, curiosity, and in some cases, poorly concealed interest in the hybridization technology. Amidst the chaos, Jordan felt a familiar tug at the edge of her consciousness. The artifact, still nestled in Harmony's core, was pulsing with renewed energy. As she focused on the sensation, fragmented visions flashed through her mind, glimpses of a vast, looming threat that sent chills down her spine. "Sarah Harper," she called out, her voice tight with urgency. "We need to talk. Now." As the trio huddled together, Captain Harper's enhanced senses picked up something unusual. "There's something off about some of the delegates," he muttered, his eyes scanning the crowd. "I'm detecting strange energy signatures from several of them." Sarah's eyes widened as she processed this information. "You think they've undergone some kind of modification, too?" Before they could discuss further, a commotion near the entrance drew their attention. One of Admiral Perry's security teams burst into the room, their faces pale with shock. "Sir," the lead officer reported, "we've discovered a hidden cache of advanced synth technology in the lower levels. It appears to have been left behind by Primus Xander's forces." The revelation sent a new wave of tension through the assembled delegates. Accusations and denials flew as various factions tried to distance themselves from the discovery. High Arbiter Zorn's imposing figure seemed to grow even larger as he turned to face Jordan, his silver eyes blazing with intensity. "You see now the danger you brought upon yourselves? This station has become a nexus of chaos, threatening to spill out across the galaxy. We demand that Harmony be quarantined immediately and the artifact destroyed." Jordan stood her ground, meeting Zorn's gaze unflinchingly. "Arbiter, I understand your concerns, but destroying the artifact isn't the answer. We've seen visions, There's something coming, something that threatens all of us. The hybridization process might be crucial to our survival. As Jordan spoke, Sarah's body began to shimmer more intensely, light dancing around her fingertips. With a look of concentration, she stretched out her hand, and a small portal of pure light appeared in the air before her. I think I can create wormholes now, she said, her voice filled with wonder and a hint of fear. We could use this to coordinate our efforts across the station, maybe even further. The revelation of Sarah's new ability sent a ripple of murmurs through the crowd. Some delegates looked on with awe, while others eyed her with clear suspicion. Captain Harper, his body still on high alert, spoke up. We need to prove that controlled hybridization can be a force for good. If we could demonstrate our abilities, show how they can benefit everyone. Jordan nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. You're right. We need to show them, not just tell them. But first, we need to address the immediate concerns. She turned to face the assembled delegates, her voice ringing out clear and strong. I propose a mission. There are reports of uncontrolled mutations happening on other worlds. Let us go to one of these affected planets and prove that our abilities can make a difference. We can help stabilize their population and show the galaxy that hybridization, when properly controlled, can be a powerful tool for good. High Arbiter Zorn's expression darkened. Absolutely not. We cannot risk spreading this contagion further. Harmony Station must be quarantined, and you three must remain here for observation. Admiral Perry stepped forward, his face a mask of stern authority. I agree with the Arbiter. It's too risky to send you out there. We need to contain the situation. Jordan looked at Sarah and Captain Harper, seeing her own perseverance reflected in their eyes. They all knew what they had to do. I'm sorry, Admiral Arbiter, Jordan said, her voice firm. But we can't stand by while others suffer. We're going to help, with or without your approval. As tensions in the command center reached a boiling point, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper began to move towards the exit. They knew that their next actions would shape not only their own fate, but the future of the entire galaxy. With the eyes of countless species upon them, they prepared to embark on their most dangerous mission yet, one that would test the limits of their new abilities and the strength of their bond. Grit. As Jordan finished her declaration, the command center erupted into chaos. Admiral Perry's face reddened with anger, while High Arbiter Zorn's silver eyes flashed dangerously. The trio moved swiftly, their enhanced abilities allowing them to navigate the confusion with ease. Lock down all docking bays. Perry bellowed into his communicator. No one leaves the station. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper exchanged quick glances, silently acknowledging the challenge ahead. They sprinted through the corridors of Harmony, their hybrid physiology granting them speed and agility beyond normal human limits. As they approached the docking bay, they encountered a squad of security personnel blocking their path. Captain Harper's eyes gleamed as he accessed his newfound precognitive abilities, anticipating the guards' movements before they occurred. Sarah, create a light barrier to our left, he instructed calmly. Jordan, be ready to overload the door controls. Sarah's hands glowed with ethereal energy as she conjured a shimmering wall of light, deflecting the guards' stun blasts. Jordan focused her mind on the nearby control panel, feeling the circuitry beneath her fingertips as if it were an extension of her own nervous system. With a surge of mental effort, Jordan bypassed the security protocols, and the docking bay doors slid open. The trio dashed inside, quickly identifying a sleek, high-speed shuttle capable of outrunning any immediate pursuit. As they boarded the vessel, Captain Harper's enhanced senses picked up an anomaly. There's a tracking device hidden in the hull, he reported, his fingers tracing an invisible pattern in the air. Celestial technology, no doubt. Sarah's brow furrowed in concentration. I have an idea, she said, her body beginning to shimmer with radiant energy. With a gesture, she created a perfect holographic replica of their shuttle, complete with a simulated energy signature. Brilliant, Jordan grinned, catching on to Sarah's plan. We'll launch the decoy first, then slip out while they're chasing shadows. As the docking bay doors opened, the holographic shuttle shot out into space, immediately drawing the attention of the waiting celestial vessels. Moments later, the real shuttle glided silently into the void, its stealth systems engaged. Once clear of Harmony's immediate vicinity, Jordan set a course for their destination, Nexus Prime, a planet reportedly experiencing widespread genetic mutations. As the stars streaked by outside the viewports, she established a telepathic link with the planet's leaders, explaining their situation and requesting permission to land. The response came swiftly, tinged with desperation and hope. "Please, we welcome any assistance you can provide," the planet's prime minister communicated. "Our cities are in turmoil and our scientists are overwhelmed." As they approached Nexus Prime, the shuttle sensors painted a grim picture of the chaos below. Urban centers were alight with fires, while panicked crowds filled the streets. The very fabric of society seemed to be unraveling as the population underwent rapid, unpredictable changes. They landed in the capital city's central plaza, now transformed into a makeshift triage center. As they disembarked, they were met by a striking woman with iridescent scales covering parts of her skin, a clear sign of the ongoing mutations. "Dr. Lara Voss," she introduced herself, her voice steady despite the obvious strain in her eyes. "I'm the lead xenobiologist here. Your arrival couldn't be more timely." Jordan quickly outlined their experiences on Harmony and their newfound abilities. Dr. Voss's eyes widened with growing excitement as she realized the potential implications of their hybrid physiology. "This could be the breakthrough we need," she exclaimed. "Come, I'll show you to our research facility." As they made their way through the chaotic streets, Captain Harper's tactical mind went into overdrive. He interfaced with the local security systems, establishing a protective perimeter around their route and the hospital that housed Dr. Voss's lab. Meanwhile, Sarah began creating a network of light conduits throughout the city, connecting key locations and allowing for rapid transportation of medical supplies and affected individuals. The shimmering pathways of energy drew gasps of awe from the frightened populace, offering a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. Inside the hospital, Jordan and Dr. Voss immediately set to work. Jordan tapped into the knowledge she had gained from the artifact, her hybrid mind processing vast amounts of data at incredible speeds. Together, they began to unravel the complex interplay between the artifact's energy and Nexus Prime's unique electromagnetic field. "The mutations are being amplified by the planet's natural EM field," Jordan explained, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "If we can find a way to harmonize the two energies—" Dr. Voss nodded eagerly, already extrapolating the possibilities. "We could potentially stabilize the most volatile mutations, perhaps even control the process to some degree." As they worked tirelessly to develop a solution, Captain Harper's enhanced senses suddenly went on high alert. He detected a surge of unfamiliar energy signatures converging on their location. "We've got company," he warned, his body tensing for action. "And they don't feel friendly." Moments later, the hospital's reinforced doors buckled under a massive psychic assault. A group of bizarrely mutated individuals poured into the lobby, led by a towering figure with pulsing, luminescent veins crisscrossing his skin. "I am ZYX, the leader proclaimed, his voice reverberating with unnatural power. "And we are the evolutionaries. Your attempts to stifle our glorious transformation end now." Jordan stepped forward, her own hybrid form radiating with nearly unleashed energy. She locked eyes with ZYX, feeling the clash of their psychic powers even before the first blow was struck. "You're wrong," she stated firmly. "We're not here to stifle anything. We're here to help your people control these changes, to harness them safely. ZYX's eyes flash with fanatical zeal. Control? Safety? You speak the language of the old world, a world we've outgrown. Embrace the chaos. Embrace evolution. With those words, he launched a massive psychic attack, and the battle for the future of Nexus Prime began in earnest. The air crackled with psychic energy as Jordan and ZYX's minds clashed, their battle of wills sending shockwaves through the hospital. Captain Harper reacted instantly, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to intercept two of ZYX's followers before they could flank Jordan. His skin hardened into a metallic sheen, deflecting their energy blasts with ease. Sarah, her body still radiating with intense light, focused her powers on creating a protective barrier around Dr. Voss and her research team. "Keep working," she shouted over the din of battle. "We need that stabilization formula." As Jordan and ZYX's psychic duel intensified, the very fabric of reality seemed to warp around them. Objects floated in defiance of gravity, and ghostly images of alternate timelines flickered in and out of existence. "You don't understand," Jordan grunted, pushing back against ZYX's mental assault. "Uncontrolled evolution will lead to chaos and suffering. We can guide this process, make it safer for everyone." ZYX's eyes blazed with fanatical fervor. "Safety is stagnation. We must embrace the full potential of our transformation, no matter the consequences." Their standoff might have continued indefinitely if not for a sudden breakthrough from Dr. Voss. "I've got it!" she exclaimed, holding up a vial of shimmering liquid. "A temporary stabilization agent. It should suppress the most extreme mutations." Jordan seized the opportunity, using her connection to the artifact's energy to amplify the stabilization agent's effect. A wave of calming energy washed over the room, causing ZYX and his followers to stumble. As the evolutionary's powers faltered, Captain Harper moved swiftly to subdue them. Sarah's light constructs formed restraints, holding the group in place. ZYX, his luminescent veins now dulled, looked at Jordan with a mixture of confusion and awe. What did you do to us?" Jordan approached him, her voice gentle but firm. "We've given you a chance to see clearly. Your powers aren't gone, just stabilized. Now you can choose how to use them without being overwhelmed." The fight drained from ZYX and his followers as the implications of their new state sank in. Dr. Voss and her team quickly moved to administer the stabilization agent to other affected individuals throughout the city. As the crisis on Nexus Prime abated, Jordan knew their unauthorized mission had only been the beginning. They had proven the potential of controlled hybridization, but convincing the galaxy's powers would be another challenge entirely. Weeks later, as their shuttle docked with Harmony Station, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper braced themselves for the consequences of their actions. Admiral Perry's stern face greeted them as they disembarked, his expression a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. "While I can't condone your methods," Perry said, his voice gruff, "I can't argue with your results. The situation on Nexus Prime has stabilized, and reports of their success are spreading fast." He paused, his tone becoming more serious. "But now we have a bigger problem. The cosmic conservators are demanding answers, and High Arbiter Zorn himself is here to get them." Jordan nodded, squaring her shoulders. "We're ready to face whatever comes, Admiral. We believe in what we've accomplished." As they made their way to the high-level meeting, the station's corridors seemed to pulse with an underlying tension. The artifact's energy, always present, felt more intense than ever before. The conference room doors slid open, revealing a gathering of the galaxy's most influential figures. High Arbiter Zorn's silver eyes locked onto Jordan immediately, his imposing figure radiating disapproval. Beside him sat Ambassador Zara of the Novalians, her crystalline skin refracting the room's light in hypnotic patterns. Dr. Zen, the celebrated xenobiologist, watched the trio with scarcely controlled scientific curiosity. Admiral Perry took his seat at the head of the table. Now that we're all here, let's begin. We need to address the unauthorized mission to Nexus Prime and its implications for galactic security. Before anyone could speak, the artifact's energy surged unexpectedly. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper felt their hybrid traits amplified dramatically. Jordan gasped as a flood of emotions from everyone in the room crashed over her. Sarah's body erupted in a blinding glow, forcing the others to shield their eyes. Captain Harper's skin rippled and hardened, taking on the properties of the surrounding materials. As the energy surge subsided, a stunned silence fell over the room. High Arbiter Zorn, his silver eyes wide with astonishment, was the first to speak. "By the cosmic core," he breathed, "I had no idea your transformations had progressed this far. This changes everything." Ambassador Zara leaned forward, her crystalline features catching the light. "Indeed it does. We can no longer ignore the potential of controlled hybridization. But the question remains, how do we proceed without risking further chaos?" Dr. Zen cleared her throat, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "I believe I have a proposal that could address our concerns while harnessing this incredible potential." As Dr. Zen began to outline her plan for a galaxy-wide research initiative, an urgent transmission interrupted the proceedings. Dr. Alara Voss's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Harmony Station. This is Dr. Voss from Nexus Prime," she said, her voice slightly distorted by subspace interference. "We've made a critical discovery. The hybrid traits in our population are showing increased resistance to the artifact's mutagenic energy. We believe this could be the key to solving the genetic crisis spreading across the galaxy." The room erupted into a flurry of discussion. Admiral Perry raised his hands for silence, then turned to Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper. "It seems your actions on Nexus Prime may have far-reaching consequences. What do you make of this development?" Jordan stepped forward, her enhanced empathic abilities allowing her to sense the mix of hope and apprehension in the room. "This confirms what we've suspected all along. Controlled hybridization isn't just a solution to the current crisis. It might be our best defense against whatever's coming from the edge of the galaxy." As the implications of Jordan's words sank in, the artifact pulsed once more, as if in response to the unfolding events. The assembled leaders looked at each other, the weight of the situation clear in their expressions. They stood at a crossroads, with the fate of countless worlds hanging in the balance. High Arbiter Zorn's deep voice cut through the tension. "It seems we have much to discuss. Let us consider Dr. Zen's proposal carefully, in light of this new information from Nexus Prime." As the meeting resumed with renewed intensity, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper exchanged glances. They had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy, but their greatest challenges still lay ahead. The true test of their abilities and the strength of their bond was only just beginning. The true test of their abilities and the strength of their bond was only just starting to unfold. As the meeting on Harmony Station concluded, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper received urgent orders to embark on a new mission. The Nexus Voyager, a state-of-the-art exploration vessel, was prepared for their departure. Within hours, they found themselves accelerating towards the edge of the galaxy, their hybrid physiology tingling with anticipation. The ship's sleek interior hummed with advanced technology as Captain Harper navigated through the star-studded expanse. Jordan monitored the sensors, her brow furrowing as she observed the steadily increasing levels of mutagenic energy. "We're picking up some intense readings," she reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. "The energy signature is getting stronger the closer we get to our destination." Sarah nodded, her skin emitting a soft glow in response to the surrounding energy. "I can feel it. It's like a constant pressure against my light manipulation abilities." Captain Harper's eyes narrowed as he focused on piloting, activating the personal force fields Dr. Zen's team developed. Let's not take any chances. A shimmering barrier enveloped each of them, providing an extra layer of protection against the unknown forces they were about to encounter. As they approached the outer rim of the galaxy, a massive, swirling vortex of energy came into view. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a maelstrom of colors and patterns that defied conventional physics. "My God!" breathed Sarah, her eyes wide. "What are we looking at?" Jordan's hybrid mind raced to process the information flooding in from the ship's sensors. It appears to be a convergence of multiple space-time anomalies. Our instruments are having trouble making sense of it all. The Nexus Voyager shuddered as it entered the outskirts of the energy field. Captain Harper's enhanced reflexes were put to the test as he maneuvered the ship through the chaotic environment. "Hand on," he called out, his hands moving with inhuman speed across the controls. The ship lurched and spun, narrowly avoiding tendrils of energy that threatened to tear through its hull. Suddenly, the communication systems crackled and went silent. Jordan tried to re-establish contact with Harmony Station, but to no avail. They were cut off, alone in the swirling sea of mutagenic energy. As they penetrated deeper into the vortex, the ship's hull began to warp and change. Metal surfaces rippled and flowed like liquid, adapting to the strange forces surrounding them. Jordan gasped as a surge of information flooded her mind. Her connection to the artifact's intelligence expanded, revealing glimpses of a vast, ancient plan. "This isn't natural," she said, her voice filled with wonder and trepidation. "The energy signature, it's artificial, created by some incredibly advanced civilization." Before her teammates could respond, Captain Harper spotted a planetoid at the center of the energy vortex. Its surface was covered in pulsating crystalline structures that seemed to resonate with the surrounding field. "I'm taking us in," he announced, guiding the Nexus Voyager towards a clearing among the crystal formations. As they touched down on the planetoid's surface, the trio felt their hybrid physiologies undergoing further changes. Jordan's empathic abilities expanded exponentially, allowing her to sense the ebb and flow of energy through the crystalline structures. Sarah's light manipulation powers intensified, granting her control over the very fabric of space-time on a localized scale. Captain Harper's body became even more adaptable, shifting and changing at will to match his surroundings. Exiting the ship, they found themselves in an alien landscape unlike anything they had ever encountered. The crystal formations towered above them, pulsing with an inner light that matched the rhythm of the energy vortex. Jordan approached one of the larger crystals, drawn by an inexplicable urge. As she placed her hand on its smooth surface, a holographic interface flickered to life. The trio watched in amazement as a recorded message began to play, revealing the true nature of their discovery. The hologram spoke of a galactic-scale genetic accelerator designed to guide the evolution of sentient species towards a state of hybridization. Its purpose: to prepare the galaxy for an impending cosmic catastrophe. As the message concluded, the planetoid's surface began to shift and reform. Crystal structures rose from the ground, interconnecting to form a vast, living neural network. The trio realized they stood at the heart of a planet-sized computer, the control center for the entire hybridization experiment. Suddenly, the Nexus Voyager's sensors detected a new energy signature. A massive ship emerged from hyperspace, dwarfing their vessel and filling the sky above them. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen, clearly of alien origin. A transmission reached their ship, identifying the newcomers as the progenitors, an ancient race responsible for seeding life throughout the galaxy. They had returned to oversee the final stages of their grand experiment in guided evolution. As the progenitor ship prepared to dock with the planetoid, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper exchanged glances. They stood on the precipice of a revelation that would reshape their understanding of the galaxy and their place within it. "Well," said Captain Harper, his body shifting to adapt to the increasing energy levels, "I guess we're about to meet our makers." Sarah's light-infused form shimmered with anticipation. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." Jordan nodded, her mind already reaching out to sense the intentions of the approaching progenitors. "Let's hope we're ready for what they have to tell us." As the alien ship descended towards the crystalline surface, the trio braced themselves for an encounter that would determine the fate of countless species across the galaxy. The energy vortex pulsed around them, a constant reminder of the transformative power they now wielded and the momentous decisions that lay ahead. As the progenitor ship descended towards the crystalline surface, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper steeled themselves for the encounter. The massive vessel touched down with surprising grace, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly energy that seemed to ripple through the very air around them. A circular opening materialized in the ship's side, and a ramp extended to the ground. 3 tall figures emerged, their iridescent skin catching the light from the surrounding crystals. Their multifaceted eyes surveyed the scene, eventually settling on the hybrid trio. "Greetings, children of our experiment," the lead progenitor said, its voice a melodious hum that seemed to resonate within their minds. "We are pleased to see the fruits of our labor have come to meet us." Jordan stepped forward, her empathic abilities already probing the aliens' emotions. "We have many questions," she said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The progenitor nodded, its movements fluid and alien. "And we have answers. Please, join us aboard our vessel." As they ascended the ramp, Captain Harper's skin rippled, unconsciously mimicking the texture of the ship's interior. Sarah's form glowed softly, her light manipulation powers responding to the energy permeating the air. The progenitors led them through winding corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Finally, they entered a vast chamber at the heart of the ship. The room was dominated by a massive holographic display of the galaxy, swirling with points of light and streams of data. "Behold," the lead progenitor said, gesturing to the display, "the culmination of our work across eons." The hologram zoomed in on various sectors, showing the spread of mutagenic energy in real time. Entire star systems pulsed with the transformative power that had changed Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper. "Our grand plan for galactic evolution," another progenitor explained, manipulating the hologram to show projected genetic changes across various species. "A necessary step to ensure survival." Jordan's brow furrowed. Survival? From what? The lead progenitor's multifaceted eyes seemed to darken. "A cosmic catastrophe approaches. A gamma-ray burst of unprecedented scale, capable of sterilizing vast portions of the galaxy." Images flashed across the holographic display, showing the devastating effects of the impending disaster. Worlds withered, species vanished, and entire civilizations crumbled in its wake. "The hybridization process," the third progenitor continued, "is designed to create species capable of withstanding this calamity, to adapt and survive where others would perish." As the explanation continued, Jordan's empathic senses tingled. She detected an undercurrent of concern, of discord among the progenitors. Not all of them, it seemed, were in agreement with the methods being employed. Before she could voice her observations, the chamber doors burst open. A group of progenitors stormed in, their iridescent skin flickering with agitation. "This must stop," the leader of the new group declared. "We cannot continue to manipulate the natural order of things." The original progenitors turned, their postures shifting to defensive stances. "We have discussed this," the lead progenitor said, its voice tight with tension. "The hybridization process is necessary for survival." "At what cost?" the dissenter argued. "We strip these species of their right to natural development. Some may not survive the coming catastrophe, but that is the way of the universe." The argument quickly escalated. voices rising and energy weapons materializing in their hands. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper found themselves caught in the middle of a conflict that had clearly been brewing for millennia. Chaos erupted as energy bolts flew across the chamber. The holographic display flickered and distorted, casting eerie shadows across the faces of the combatants. In the confusion, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper were separated. Jordan found herself pushed into a side corridor. She ran, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to dodge stray energy blasts. The passage led her to a vast chamber filled with rows upon rows of stasis pods. Each pod contained a different alien species, suspended in time. "They've been collecting samples," Jordan whispered, her hand hovering over a pod containing a creature she had never seen before. "For how long?" Meanwhile, Sarah had used her light manipulation powers to create a protective barrier around herself and a group of non-combatant progenitors. "This way," she urged, guiding them towards an escape pod she had spotted earlier. Captain Harper, his body now perfectly mimicking the ship's interior, slipped through the chaos undetected. He made his way to what appeared to be the vessel's control center, his fingers dancing across alien interfaces as he absorbed crucial information about progenitor technology and the full scope of their galactic manipulation. As the conflict raged on, the energy vortex surrounding the planetoid began to destabilize. The ship shuddered, and alarms blared in an alien cadence. The mutagenic energy outside was fluctuating wildly, causing rapid and unpredictable changes to nearby celestial bodies. Jordan, her connection to the artifact's intelligence stronger than ever, found herself instinctively interfacing with the progenitor ship systems. Information flooded her mind, and she saw a way to stabilize the energy vortex. But the solution would require a massive influx of energy from the ship itself. Sarah, having ensured the safety of the non-combatants, raced back through the ship's corridors. Her powers flared, creating a network of light conduits throughout the vessel. These pathways allowed her to quickly locate and communicate with Jordan and Captain Harper. "I've found a way to stop this," Jordan's voice came through the light conduit. "But we'll need to reroute power from the ship's core." "I can do that," Captain Harper replied, his hands already moving across the control center's interfaces. "But it's going to alert both factions to our activities." As they worked to implement their plan, Jordan made a startling discovery. Hidden deep within the ship's historical archives was evidence that the progenitors themselves were the result of an ancient hybridization process. "It's a cycle," Jordan realized, her palms sweating from the implications. "They're repeating a pattern that's played out countless times before." With this knowledge, a new solution began to form in Jordan's mind. A way to end the conflict, address the approaching catastrophe, and break the cycle of manipulation that had defined galactic evolution for eons. But before she could fully articulate her plan, alarms blared throughout the ship. Both factions of progenitors had detected their activities and were converging on their positions. "We're out of time," Sarah's voice came through the light conduit. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." As energy weapons charged and the ship shuddered under the strain of the destabilizing vortex, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper prepared to challenge the progenitor's ancient plan with a new vision for galactic evolution. The fate of countless species hung in the balance as they raced against time, the future of the galaxy resting in the hands of three unlikely heroes. The fate of countless species hung in the balance as they raced against time, the future of the galaxy resting in the hands of three unlikely heroes. Jordan's fingers flew across the alien interface, her mind racing to process the vast influx of information. "I've found a way to stabilize the vortex," she called out, her voice strained with concentration. "But we need access to the main control systems." As if in response to her words, a series of security protocols activated, locking them out of crucial systems. Captain Harper banged his hand against a nearby console, his skin rippling with frustration. "Damn it, We're blocked at every turn. Sarah's eyes narrowed, her form shimmering with focused energy. Then we changed tactics. Jordan, can you use your empathic abilities to distract the progenitors? Jordan nodded, closing her eyes and reaching out with her mind. A wave of calm washed over the ship, momentarily stilling the chaos of the warring factions. In that instant of quiet, Sarah sprang into action. Light burst from her fingertips, weaving an intricate network of glowing conduits throughout the vessel. The luminous pathways connected key systems, bypassing the security measures that had thwarted their earlier attempts. "Harper now," Sarah shouted, her voice echoing through the light channels. The captain's body blurred into motion, his adaptive physiology allowing him to traverse the ship at inhuman speeds. He moved from station to station, inputting commands and overriding protocols with practiced efficiency. As they worked, the energy vortex surrounding the planetoid grew increasingly unstable. Massive surges of mutagenic energy lashed out, affecting nearby star systems. On the ship's monitors, they watched as planets underwent rapid, unpredictable transformations. Jordan's connection to the artifact's intelligence flared, her mind overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the changes occurring. Her physical form began to waver, the boundaries of her body blurring as she struggled to process the information flooding her consciousness. Sarah, sensing her friend's distress, directed her powers to create a protective cocoon of light around Jordan. The shimmering barrier helped stabilize Jordan's form, allowing her to maintain her crucial link to the planetoid systems. Captain Harper positioned himself between his two teammates, his body adapting to channel and disperse the excess energy. "Whatever you're doing, do it fast," he urged, his voice strained as he fought to maintain his form against the onslaught of mutagenic energy. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Nexus Voyager, still docked on the planetoid surface, was registering severe structural stress. But that wasn't the only threat. The gamma ray burst, Jordan gasped, her eyes wide with shock. "It's here. Now!" The leading edge of the cosmic event slammed into the outer layers of the energy vortex. Space itself seemed to warp and twist, quantum fluctuations cascading through the affected region. As the situation spiraled further out of control, a group of progenitors broke away from the main conflict. Led by a scientist named Zelthra, they approached the hybrid trio with tentative offers of assistance. "Your plan," Zelthra said, its multifaceted eyes fixed on Jordan. "It has potential. We can help refine it." With Zelthra's guidance, they began to reshape the energy vortex, transforming it from a tool of forced evolution into a protective shield against the approaching gamma-ray burst. The process taxed their hybrid abilities to the limit, requiring precise manipulation of mutagenic energy on a galactic scale. As they worked, the ship's sensors detected multiple vessels entering the sector. A combined fleet of Earth, Novalian, and even synth ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons primed and scanning the progenitor vessel. A familiar voice crackled over the comms. "This is Admiral Perry of the Earth Alliance. We demand an explanation for the widespread genetic mutations affecting our sectors." Captain Harper's diplomatic training kicked in. He opened a channel to the fleet, his voice steady despite the strain of maintaining his form. "Admiral, this is Captain Harper. The situation is more complex than it appears. We're dealing with a threat that could sterilize vast portions of the galaxy." As Harper explained the nature of the gamma-ray burst and their plan to create a protective shield, Jordan and Sarah pushed themselves to the brink. The mutagenic energy began to coalesce, forming a vast, shimmering barrier that stretched across the threatened regions of the galaxy. The leading edge of the gamma-ray burst made contact with the newly formed energy shield. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper braced themselves, their hybrid forms trembling with the effort of maintaining the barrier. As the cosmic forces clashed, the fate of countless species hung in the balance. The next few moments would determine whether their bold strategy would save all of the universe, or if they had merely postponed the inevitable. The hybrid trio stood united, their combined powers straining against the onslaught of cosmic radiation, as the battle for galactic survival reached its climax. Climactic moment. Time seemed to slow as the gamma ray burst collided with their hastily constructed energy shield. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper poured every ounce of their hybrid abilities into maintaining the barrier, their forms trembling under the strain. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as if their efforts would be in vain. The shield flickered, cosmic radiation seeping through in places. But then, miraculously, it held. The deadly burst dispersed across the vast expanse of their creation. Its destructive power dissipated. Relief washed over them, but it was short-lived. The ship lurched violently, throwing them off balance. Alarms blared as systems overloaded, unable to cope with the massive influx of energy. Jordan felt a searing pain in her mind as she was forcibly disconnected from the neural interface. She cried out, her voice joining Sarah's and Harper's in a chorus of disorientation. Suddenly, the artificial gravity failed. Jordan found herself floating, her limbs flailing as she tried to orient herself in the zero-G environment. Through blurred vision, she saw Sarah and Harper similarly adrift, their expressions a mix of confusion and alarm. A deafening crack echoed through the ship. Jordan turned her head, fighting waves of nausea, to see fractures spreading across the view screen. Beyond, the planetoid's crystalline surface was breaking apart, massive chunks spinning off into space. "The Nexus Voyager," Harper shouted, his voice barely audible over the cacophony of alarms. Jordan followed his gaze to see their ship, still docked on the planetoid's surface, being pelted by crystal debris. Sarah reacted instinctively. Her body glowed with an inner light as she extended her powers, creating a protective bubble around the Nexus Voyager. The shimmering barrier deflected the worst of the debris, but Jordan could see the strain on Sarah's face as she struggled to maintain it. In the chaos, Jordan became aware of a strange sensation. Her mind felt expanded. Thoughts and emotions that weren't her own flooded her consciousness. She gasped, overwhelmed by the sudden influx of alien minds. "I can sense them," she murmured, her eyes wide. "The fleet, the progenitors, everyone. It's like I'm connected to all of them." Harper nodded grimly, his body already adapting to the zero-G conditions. "The energy surge must have amplified your abilities. Can you use it to our advantage?" Before Jordan could respond, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. "This is Admiral Perry. What in blazes is going on out there?" Harper pushed off a nearby console, propelling himself towards the communication array. "Admiral, this is Captain Harper. We've managed to deflect the gamma ray burst, but we're dealing with some unexpected consequences." As Harper explained the situation, Jordan closed her eyes, focusing on her newfound abilities. She could sense the fear and confusion emanating from the fleet, the anger and uncertainty from the warring progenitor factions. But beneath it all, she detected something else, a faint signal pulsing from the heart of the planetoid. "The crystals," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're changing." Sarah, still maintaining the protective field around the Nexus Voyager, glanced at her. "Changing how?" As if in answer, the remaining crystalline structures on the planetoid began to shift and realign. They formed intricate patterns, coalescing into a massive, glowing transmitter. Energy pulsed from its core, radiating outward in waves. Jordan's mind reeled as she tapped into the signal. It's data, genetic information. The planetoid is broadcasting hybridization technology to every corner of the galaxy. The implications of this development hit them like a physical force. Harper's face paled as he realized the potential consequences. This could destabilize the entire galactic power structure. As if to confirm his fears, the comms erupted with a cacophony of voices. Species from across the assembled fleet were reacting to the sudden influx of information, some with fear, others with excitement or outrage. Amidst the chaos, Zelthra, the modern progenitor scientist, approached them. Its iridescent skin flickered with concern. We must act quickly. This uncontrolled spread of information could lead to catastrophe. Jordan nodded, her expression grim. It's not just the information we need to worry about. The energy buildup in the planetoid's core is intensifying. If we don't find a way to stabilize it soon. She left the sentence unfinished, but they all understood the implications. The very fabric of space-time in this sector was at risk. As they grappled with this new crisis, another alarm sounded. Sarah's eyes widened as she checked the long-range sensors. We've got company. Something big is coming out of hyperspace. They watched in awe as a massive structure emerged, dwarfing even the progenitor ship. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen, a blend of organic and technological elements that defied easy classification. Harper's voice was hushed as he stared at the newcomer. What is that thing? Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered again. The energy buildup in the planetoid's core had reached critical levels. Time was running out. Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper exchanged glances, the weight of their responsibility heavy upon them. They had saved the galaxy from one threat, only to face an even greater challenge. With tensions rising among the assembled fleet, the progenitors divided, and an unknown entity entering the fray, their next actions would shape the future of the entire galaxy. As alarms blared and the ship creaked around them, they steeled themselves for whatever came next. The true test of their hybrid abilities and their unity was about to begin. The hybrid trio's moment of steely drive was shattered by a blinding flash of light. A colossal structure materialized out of hyperspace, dwarfing even the progenitor vessel. Its design defied easy classification, a seamless blend of organic curves and technological precision. What in the name of Dash? Harper's exclamation was cut short as the ship's systems went haywire. Displays flickered, alarms blared discordantly, then fell silent. Jordan stumbled, her enhanced empathic abilities overwhelmed by a tidal wave of emotions from the assembled fleet. Fear, awe, confusion, all crashed against her mind in a chaotic maelstrom. Sarah steadied her friend, her own eyes wide with wonder. That thing's putting out some serious energy. It's interfering with everything. As if on cue, Admiral Perry's voice crackled over the comms, distorted but audible. All ships, assume defensive positions. Unknown contact. Identify yourself immediately. The massive structure remained silent, but its presence spoke volumes. Its surface rippled with pulses of energy, scanning the assembled vessels with methodical precision. Zelthra approached, its multifaceted eyes fixed on the newcomer. We must establish communication, it said, manipulating a series of crystalline controls. If we can dash. The progenitor was interrupted by a sudden lurch. A hidden chamber within their ship slid open, revealing a cache of technology that pulsed with an inner light. Impossible, Zelthra breathed, tentacles quivering with excitement. These artifacts, they're older than our oldest records. As progenitor scientists swarmed the newfound treasure trove, Jordan gasped, her body going rigid. Her eyes rolled back, showing only whites as her mind connected with something vast and ancient. Jordan, Sarah cried, catching her friend as she collapsed. Captain Harper was already moving, his body adapting to interface with the newly revealed progenitor tech. His fingers flew over alien controls, guided by instinct and his enhanced abilities. The planetoid, he gritted out, sweat beading on his brow. Its energy output is destabilizing. If we don't act fast, we're looking at a space-time rupture. Sarah nodded, her hands glowing as she manipulated light to create a three-dimensional model of the surrounding space. Streams of energy flowed between the points of light representing the planetoid, the progenitor ship, and the massive newcomer. "Look at that," she said, indicating the largest light source. "It's not just emitting energy. It's absorbing it, refining it somehow." Jordan stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "The Nexus hub," she mumbled, her voice distant. "It's alive. Sort of. A vast intelligence, dormant for eons." Before anyone could respond, the ship rocked violently. Through the view screen, they watched as the crystalline planetoid began to move, aligning itself with the Nexus hub. "Evasive maneuvers," Admiral Perry's voice boomed over the comms. "All ships, clear the area." The hybrid trio exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever this Nexus hub was, it held the key to the chaos unfolding around them. "We need to get aboard that station," Harper said, his body already shifting to adapt to the challenges ahead. Sarah nodded, her hands weaving intricate patterns of light. "I can create a path through the energy distortions, but it won't last long." Jordan stood shakily, her mind still reeling from the connection with the ancient intelligence. "I can guide us once we're inside. The layout. It's like a fragmented map in my head." As they prepared for their daring mission, the space around them erupted into frenzied activity. Several ships from the Galactic fleet reported sudden technological advancements, their systems upgrading seemingly at random. The progenitor factions, their tentative truce forgotten, argued vehemently over the Nexus hub's potential. "We don't have much time," Harper said, his voice grim. "If we don't take control of that station, someone else will. And I don't think any of us want to see what happens then." With a nod to her companions, Sarah wove a cocoon of light around them. As one, they launched themselves towards the Nexus hub, leaving behind the chaos of the assembled fleet. The ancient station loomed before them, its secrets waiting to be unlocked, its power ready to reshape the galaxy. The next few moments would determine the fate of countless civilizations, and the hybrid trio knew that failure was not an option. An option as they hurtled towards the enigmatic Nexus hub. A blinding flash engulfed their light cocoon. Jordan felt a sudden lurch in her stomach, and the world around them blurred. When her vision cleared, she found herself standing in a vast chamber unlike anything she had ever seen. "What just happened?" Sarah gasped, her hands still glowing with residual energy. Before anyone could respond, a powerful force gripped the progenitor ship and several vessels from the Galactic fleet. Through the chamber's holographic displays, they watched as the ships were pulled towards the Nexus hub's docking bays by an invisible tractor beam. "It's bringing them in," Harper observed, his eyes darting across the streams of data flowing through the air around them. Zelthra and a small team of progenitor scientists materialized beside them, their tentacles writhing in confusion. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've encountered," Zelthra murmured. Jordan opened her mouth to speak but was cut off by a sudden, intense tingling sensation throughout her body. A beam of light swept over them, scanning each individual from head to toe. "What's happening to us?" Sarah cried out, her body beginning to glow with an otherworldly light. Jordan felt her mind expanding, consciousness stretching to encompass the entire station. Information flooded her synapses, overwhelming at first, then coalescing into a coherent interface. She could sense every system, every circuit within the massive structure. Beside her, Sarah gasped as her hands formed intricate patterns of light, solidifying into tangible objects before dissolving back into energy. Harper's body rippled and shifted, his very cells adapting to interface with the alien technology surrounding them. As the trio marveled at their enhanced abilities, a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. "Welcome, inheritors. I am Guardian, the caretaker of this Nexus hub." A holographic figure materialized before them, its form constantly shifting between various species and abstract patterns. For eons, I have waited for beings with the correct genetic markers to arrive and take control of the station. What is this place? Harper asked, his body seamlessly integrating with a nearby console. This is the legacy of the architects, Guardian explained. They created this hub to guide the evolution of the galaxy, but a great calamity forced them into stasis, leaving me to watch over their work. As Guardian spoke, the station hummed to life around them. Dormant systems activated, and the very structure of the hub began to reconfigure itself. Through her newfound connection, Jordan sensed the gravitational disturbances rippling out into nearby star systems. The station's reactivation is causing havoc, she warned. We need to stabilize it before dash. Her words were cut short by a cacophony of alarms. The holographic displays showed the assembled fleet outside the hub descending into chaos. Ships collided as they tried to flee or force their way into the station. The progenitor factions, Zelthra hissed. They're attempting to seize control of the hub. Jordan closed her eyes, extending her empathic abilities to encompass the panicked crews of the fleet ships. She projected waves of calm, stemming the tide of fear and confusion. Sarah's hands danced through the air, creating a network of glowing constructs. I'm using these light structures to guide damaged ships to safety and effect emergency repairs, she explained. Harper's fingers flew over the hub's controls, his enhanced physiology allowing him to interface directly with its systems. Activating defensive protocols, he announced, repelling the progenitor assault. As the immediate crisis came under control, Guardian's holographic form flickered. You have proven yourselves worthy of the Architect's legacy, but now you face a choice that will alter the course of galactic history. The AI explained the hub's ability to implement controlled genetic modifications across the galaxy, potentially solving the problems caused by the recent evolutionary leap. Before the trio could fully process this information, a new alarm blared. Long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching at incredible speed. Unknown vessels incoming, Harper reported, his eyes wide as he interpreted the data. They're broadcasting a message. A harsh, guttural voice filled the chamber. We are the Reapers. The abomination you call the Nexus Hub must be destroyed. The natural order of evolution will not be subverted. Jordan, Sarah, and Harper exchanged grim looks, the weight of their responsibilities settling heavily upon them. There is one more thing you must know, Guardian intoned. The hub contains a weapon capable of repelling the Reaper fleet, but to activate it requires a complete genetic merge between a human and an alien species. The implications of Guardian's words hung in the air, a palpable tension filling the chamber. The hybrid trio stood at the precipice of a decision that would shape the future of the entire galaxy. Jordan's mind raced, processing the overwhelming influx of information from the hub systems. Sarah's hands crackled with energy, light constructs forming and dissipating around her. Harper's body shifted subtly, adapting to each new piece of information. As the Reaper fleet drew ever closer, they knew their next actions would determine the fate of countless civilizations. The true test of their hybrid nature and their humanity was about to begin. The true test of their hybrid nature and their humanity was about to unfold. Jordan took a deep breath, her mind racing with the implications of Guardian's words. She stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. I'll do it. I'll undergo the genetic merge. Sarah's eyes widened, and Captain Harper's form rippled with tension. Jordan, are you sure? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. We don't have a choice, Jordan replied, her gaze fixed on the holographic displays, showing the approaching Reaper fleet. Someone has to activate that weapon, or we're all doomed. Guardian's form shimmered, and a section of the chamber's wall slid open, revealing a cylindrical pod pulsing with energy. The merging chamber awaits, the AI intoned. Once the process begins, it cannot be reversed. As Jordan moved towards the chamber, Harper grabbed her arm. "Wait," he said, his eyes searching hers. "There has to be another way." Jordan placed her hand over his, a sad smile on her face. "We both know there isn't. This is what we were created for, Harper. To bridge the gap between species, to push the boundaries of what's possible." With a nod to her companions, Jordan stepped into the chamber. The transparent walls sealed around her, and a soft hum filled the air. Energy coursed through the pod, and Jordan's body arched as the merging process began. Sarah turned away, unable to watch as her friend's form began to blur and shift. She focused instead on the Reaper fleet, her hands weaving complex patterns of light. "I'm creating an energy shield around the station," she announced, her voice strained with effort. "It won't hold them off forever, but it should buy us some time." Harper interfaced with the hub systems, his body adapting to the alien technology. "Activating defensive protocols," he reported. "Targeting systems online. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Outside the Nexus hub, chaos reigned. Admiral Perry's voice crackled over the comms, barking orders to the assembled fleet. "All ships form up. Defensive Formation Delta 7. We need to protect that station at all costs." Zelthra and her team of progenitor scientists worked feverishly at their consoles, tentacles flying over alien controls. "We're making progress decoding the hub's database," Zelthra reported. "If we can unlock its full potential, we might stand a chance against these Reapers." A violent tremor shook the station as the first wave of Reaper ships slammed against Sarah's energy shield. The barrier held, but hairline fractures appeared in its shimmering surface. "Shield integrity at 87% and dropping," Sarah gritted out, sweat beading on her forehead as she poured more power into the construct. Harper's fingers danced over the hub's weapon controls, targeting the lead Reaper vessels. Beams of energy lanced out from the station, scoring hits against the massive ships. But for every Reaper vessel disabled, 2 more took its place. "We can't hold them off forever," Harper warned, his body shifting to accommodate the strain of interfacing with the alien systems. "Jordan, how much longer?" Inside the merging chamber, Jordan floated in a sea of swirling energy. Her body pulsed and shifted, DNA from countless species intertwining with her own. She could feel her consciousness expanding, reaching out to touch the very fabric of the Nexus hub itself. As the final stages of the merge approached, Jordan's eyes snapped open. They were no longer human eyes, but multifaceted orbs that shimmered with an inner light. Her skin had taken on an iridescent quality, shifting colors with each movement. With a thought, Jordan disintegrated the chamber around her, stepping out into the control room. Sarah and Harper turned, their eyes widening at the sight of their transformed friend. "Jordan," Sarah whispered, her light constructs faltering for a moment. Jordan nodded, her new form radiating power. "I understand now," she said, her voice resonating with newfound authority. "I know how to control the hub systems." She raised her hand, and the entire station hummed with energy. Displays flickered to life, showing systems and weapons that had lain dormant for eons. With a mere thought, Jordan activated the hub's primary weapon, a massive energy beam capable of destabilizing the molecular structure of Reaper ships. The weapon fired, cutting through space like a scythe through wheat. The beam struck the Reaper fleet, and several of their largest vessels simply ceased to exist, their molecular bonds shattered by the overwhelming force. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, as one, the remaining Reaper ships renewed their assault with increased ferocity. The energy required for such a powerful attack had temporarily drained the Nexus hub, leaving it vulnerable. Shields failing, Sarah cried, her light constructs flickering and fading. Harper's body rippled as he struggled to maintain control of the hub systems. "We're losing power across all sectors. The weapon drained more than we anticipated." Jordan closed her eyes, reaching out with her new senses to touch the minds of the panicked crews throughout the Galactic fleet. She projected waves of calm, steadying their willpower in the face of the Reaper onslaught. As the battle raged around them, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. The energy released by the Nexus Hub's weapon had interacted with the previously distributed mutagenic energy, triggering a new wave of controlled evolutionary leaps among various species. "We're receiving signals from dozens of worlds," Zelthra reported, her tentacles quivering with excitement. "Individuals are developing hybrid traits similar to yours. The galaxy is changing before our eyes." But even as hope began to bloom, a new threat emerged. The Reapers, sensing the shifting balance of power, deployed their secret weapon, a massive EMP-like pulse designed to disable the Nexus Hub and revert all hybrid beings to their original genetic state. Jordan sensed the approaching pulse, her new hybrid mind processing the threat in an instant. "They're trying to undo everything," she warned. "If that pulse hits us, it's all over." With no time to spare and the fate of galactic evolution hanging in the balance, Jordan made a decision. She reached out with her mind, preparing to channel the incoming pulse through the Nexus Hub systems. As the energy wave approached, she braced herself for the greatest challenge of her new existence. As the energy wave approached, she braced herself for the greatest challenge of her new hybrid form. Jordan's multifaceted eyes flashed with persistence as she reached out with her mind, grasping the incoming pulse with her newfound abilities. The air around her crackled with energy as she channeled the destructive force into the Nexus Hub systems. "Jordan, what are you doing?" Sarah cried out, her light constructs flickering as she struggled to maintain the failing shields. "Containing the pulse," Jordan replied, her voice strained with effort. "But I can't hold it for long." Captain Harper's body rippled as he interfaced with the hub's controls. "We're losing power across all sectors. If we can't find a way to redirect that energy, we're finished." Outside, the space battle reached its climax. Admiral Perry's voice crackled over the comms. "All ships, this is our moment. Push through their lines." The unified fleet, a patchwork of human and alien vessels, surged forward in a coordinated assault. Progenitor ships fired salvos of energy weapons, while human cruisers launched swarms of fighters. The Reaper formation began to buckle under the onslaught. Inside the Nexus Hub, Jordan made a split-second decision. Her iridescent skin shimmered as she pushed her hybrid abilities to their limit. "Guardian," she called out to the AI, "I need to merge with you. It's the only way we can access the hub's full power." Guardian's holographic form flickered. "The risks are immense. Your consciousness may not survive the process." "We don't have a choice," Jordan replied, her voice resolute. With a thought, Jordan initiated the merge. Her consciousness expanded, intertwining with the vast network of the Nexus Hub. She felt Guardian's presence, an ancient intellect joining with her own. In an instant, she accessed eons of knowledge and control over the station's most powerful systems. Through the hub sensors, Jordan perceived the battle outside with crystal clarity. She saw the opening in the Reaper formation, the command ship vulnerable for a brief moment. Acting on instinct, she redirected the contained Reaper pulse, amplifying and focusing it into a beam of pure evolutionary energy. The beam lanced out from the Nexus Hub, striking the Reaper command ship with pinpoint accuracy. Instead of disintegrating, the massive vessel began to transform. Its metallic surface rippled and shifted, organic components emerging from within. "By the stars!" Zelthra gasped, her tentacles quivering as she monitored the readings. "The Reapers. They're changing." The transformation spread rapidly through the Reaper fleet. Ships once thought to be purely mechanical revealed their true biomechanical nature. The evolutionary pulse reawakened long-dormant organic systems, forcing the Reapers to grapple with a physical form they had long since abandoned. As the Reapers struggled with their new existence, Their attack faltered. Admiral Perry seized the opportunity. All ships, concentrate fire on their weakened defenses. The unified fleet launched a coordinated strike, disabling the remaining Reaper ships with surgical precision. Within minutes, the battle concluded. The Reaper threat neutralized not through destruction, but through forced evolution. Inside the Nexus hub, Jordan separated her consciousness from Guardian, the strain of the merge taking its toll. Her hybrid form flickered, and she collapsed to the floor. "Jordan!" Sarah cried out, rushing to her friend's side. Captain Harper joined her, his adaptive body already analyzing Jordan's condition. "She's alive," Harper reported, his hands glowing as he used his abilities to stabilize her. "But the merge has changed her even further. I'm not sure what the long-term effects will be." As Jordan's eyes fluttered open, the chamber filled with the sound of incoming transmissions. Representatives from the Galactic fleet, including Admiral Perry and the progenitor factions, requested permission to board the Nexus hub. Zelthra's voice carried a mix of excitement and trepidation. "The battle may be over, but I fear the real challenges are just beginning. The galaxy will never be the same after what we've witnessed here." Sarah helped Jordan to her feet, supporting her still unsteady form. "Are you ready for this?" she asked softly. Jordan nodded, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight streaming through the hub's viewports. "We've come this far," she said, her voice carrying the weight of her recent experience. "Now it's time to show them the path forward." As the first shuttles began to dock with the Nexus hub, Jordan, Sarah, and Captain Harper stood united, prepared to face the assembled delegates and shape the future of a galaxy forever changed by their actions.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.